For a lively group this morning.
I know.
I
The dog warden's coming up soon.
discussing your recognition of my height deficiency.
Your height deficiency on the camera.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh.
You got
Oh, look, do we have a delay?
No, we have the live stream.
Time presence awareness.
Very true. Okay, are we on, Sarah? Yes, you're on. Okay, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, you grew. Let it go.
There you might.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The Board of Commissioners approves the May 10th special meeting minutes.
Second?
Roll call. Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yeah.
Water resources, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, in that resolution, should that be 220653? Because I'm not sure which one is correct, because in the resolution itself, it's got 22. But in the resolution on our agenda, it's got 21. Maybe Sarah, you're the one I need to ask about that.
No, I think it might be 21.
Okay, so in the resolution, it should be changed to 21 then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is 21.
Well, no, I have it in 21.
On the,
Where are you seeing it at? Down at the.
in the resolution itself.
Oh, it's down whereas. The whereas part. Oh, yeah, the whereas. I was gonna say, because I see it 21.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
it is
okay.
21.
It must be 21.
Yes,
Should be
21. Okay.
It just needs to be changed in the body here of whereas and resolve.
Yeah. Daniel, do you want to comment on this? It looks like we're just basically assuming the grant and stuff that Manaway had applied for, and I think we were aware of that.
Mhm.
going
Correct. I do believe that the OPWC awarded them a grant for the restoration of their reservoir. At that point, when we assumed that the language was a little off, we didn't, the county did not like the law or the language in that contract. So that was, we want to rescind this one and submit.
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right.
Board of Commissioners moves to rescind the resolution 21-0653 and to assume the grant and loan agreement between Ohio Public Works Commission and the Village of Manaway for the Reservoir Rehabilitation Improvement Project, Portage County Water Resources Project MW 021-100.
Second.
Roll call.
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Daniel.
How's it going for the first 2 weeks?
Great. Actually, very well.
Yes.
Everything's as you expect it to be. Perfect.
You are on camera.
I heard some very good comments.
That's it.
Well, thank you.
Shit.
Yeah, it's a good team there and I'm excited
Thank you.
to work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
A lot of it.
just didn't mean to put you on the spot. But
No, it'll be a nice challenge and.
yeah, it is. It will be. It is. I think we have tremendous assets there, and we're glad to have you there.
We have great people.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. You didn't get to see more.
All right, Larry.
Good morning. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so we've got 3 resolutions for you today. First one deals with entering into a contract with the combined general health department for purposes of coordination with the stormwater district. They handle our illicit discharge and elimination portion of that NPDS permit that we presented to you a number of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Number 2 is just to set the time and the place for our annual township dinner, which happens to be Saturday at 6 o'clock. It would be a little warm, but that'll be all right. A little warm. And then the third is going to be enter negotiations to allow us to enter negotiations with MS Consultants for professional service of construction administration for the Hankey Road replacement culvert.
All right, thank you.
Board of Commissioners moves to authorize and execute an agreement between Portage County Board of Commissioners and Portage County Combined General Health District for the purpose of cooperation and coordination as related and execution and responsibilities of Portage County Stormwater District.
Second.
Roll call.
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Board of Commissioners moves to authorize and set the time and place for the annual township dinner in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5543.06.
Second.
Roll call.
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Board of Commissioners authorize the Portage County Engineer to enter into negotiations with MS Consultants, Inc. for their providing professional services for construction administration for the Hankey Road Culvert Replacement Project.
Second.
Roll call.
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All
Lisa.
good. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right.
Ryan,
Hey, Ryan.
I like your outfit this morning, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we do, I know we'll have some individuals showing up around 9:10, but I think we're okay to get started. Some of the
Okay.
committee members assisted us, so we'll go ahead. Want to go ahead and grab PowerPoint?
Yeah, let me share this thing.
I apologize when we're talking, so it's slightly having that.
But yet your best side.
I'll leave that alone.
Oh,
Sabrina.
my God.
Is it Thursday? Is this Friday?
All right, and it should be good.
Okay, let's check. Make sure. Sorry, fantastic. Good morning.
Morning.
Finally here.
Yeah.
I
So This
know.
was a project we started in, I think, late September, middle to late September, and I know we kind of wanted things to move a little quicker, but I'm pretty happy where we got today. Nice team effort. We'll have some more committee members showing up here in a little bit, but to find the information that we have and hopefully give you some good recommendations on what you can do moving forward. For the individuals in the room as well on our live stream, my name is Ryan Shackelford, and I am the Emergency Management Director here in Portage County. If you're familiar with emergency management, we kind of have a role primarily in public safety. So you may be wondering, how do we get down in the information technology realm? And we'll talk about that. So we're going to cover pretty much cradle to grave, how we started this process and to the findings that we got today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. From the emergency management realm, we started in June, looking at a lack of what's called MARCS coverage, which is a statewide radio system that's throughout the state of Ohio. And we were trying to basically prove what we thought, that we had a lack of coverage in Portage County and MARCS infrastructure. So we wanted to say we have lack of infrastructure and we want to try to get more infrastructure, not just from the county perspective, but to leverage our state partners. Right around the same time when we presented those findings to you in September is when the Ohio Rural Broadband Grant Initiative was released. Well, we found out about it, actually. It was already released. We actually found out that it was out there. And it had a deadline date of October 14th, and the same time is when ARPA came out.
Yep.
So through some of our talks and discussions towards the latter end of that MARCS project, we were trying to find different ways, creative ways to fund the infrastructure that we needed, roughly around 3 towers, if not a little bit more. And there was a concept of fixed wireless. So if we can do as dual purpose efforts, we can build these towers, these fixed wireless towers, provide internet to the community, also put some radio infrastructure on those towers and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. To find out those answers, we needed to know if we had an internet issue in Portage County in Northeast Ohio. So we conducted some outreach through some partners, and we ended up contracting with a company called Flat Wireless to do a study, which at that time was primarily focused on fixed wireless concept to see where unserved and underserved communities were in Portage County. We got that study done right before the deadline of October 14th. So what's unique about the Ohio broadband grants is the private sector applies, not the public sector. So we had the information. We could have just chose someone and say, hey, apply on our behalf. That still felt a little uncomfortable. We needed to do some kind of competitive process and identify a vendor to apply on our behalf. And there's actually going to be some things we found out that were going on anyways. They already were. So they just kind of taking the initiative of applying for some things. And then people were starting to find out that we were doing this project, that we were looking at broadband. So we started getting anecdotal observations, people saying we didn't have internet during COVID. I don't have internet. We were getting emails, and I'll show you an example here in a second, that there is no internet in my house, nothing available. And then information asymmetry, which was my primary focus. If you've never heard that term before, essentially it's the private sector has the information and the leverage over the public sector, right? They specialize in this, we do not. So they know the information and essentially could take advantage of us. We don't know any better because literally we don't specialize in broadband. It's not our thing. And we wanted to close that gap as much as possible. So really over, I don't know, last 7 months, I think, we've closed that gap and have kind of made ourselves really knowledgeable. Other than Lloyd, who just joined us, the rest of us aren't broadband experts or on the IT side of the house. So once we got all that information, we eventually released the RFPs. There was some bias and assumptions that we didn't have that fiber and cable wasn't cost effective, that it wasn't an option. But we wanted to make sure that we closed that assumption and was reality. Okay, and we'll actually show some findings here that maybe that's not the truth. So kind of neat findings. So we actually released a RFP for the fiber cable side as well as the fixed wireless. And then here we are today doing the closing findings. So we don't have internet. This was something kind of unique. There's pretty much 4 reasons why an individual wouldn't have internet. And the whole purpose of our project is focused on access. Essentially is we literally do not have a provider. There is not someone in our community that provides internet. So we do not have access to anybody. The other side of the house on the access front is we do have providers, but they're not robust and capable, or you're limited to download speeds.
Yeah.
And the next thing is you're pulling out is affordability, right? We do have providers, but we can't afford it. And then the 4th one was adoption, where we have all the internet in the world, but we don't think it's valuable and we don't want to do it. So the whole purpose of today, especially when it relates to the ARPA grants, is accessibility. Where do we have unserved, underserved communities? Where do we not have vendors in there, and trying to leverage those vendors to provide internet to those communities? So, but broadly, when we have those anecdotal observations, you can't just go, I don't have internet, because it could be a couple different things. And we'll talk a little bit how we plan on closing some of that. So here's a good example of some conflicting information that we are having. This is a resident, and I blacked out all the personal identifiable information, so there's no name or address. But this is an individual that's on State Route 5. In Charlestown Township, and they said they were quoted $16,000 15 years ago to run cable down to their house. And they also mentioned that there's neighbors there that do not have internet, and then they provide that they're using a jetpack, but it doesn't work very well. And we live at this location, and there's no one ever really help us. So if you grab the maps and you put where this address is, what's it show you? That we absolutely do not have an internet option or no internet problem there whatsoever. So that's where you get a little bit of conflicting data where the FCC maps are. There's some other little more detailed maps, but if you looked at this house, you would go, oh, what are you talking about? You have Spectrum, which is Charter Communications, great internet coverage. What is the problem? So we do think there is some onesie twosies out there that even some of our partners are saying, nope, we have good internet coverage there.
How often do they update the maps?
Yeah, I did not know the answer to that, man.
You know, because I'm just wondering if the maps aren't updated.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There was some we'll show you a couple maps as we go along that'll pull out some areas, but this house still isn't listed. So this is a good example of maybe a small opportunity is to close some gaps. And I imagine there's more throughout the county, maybe not a lot, but more. So who are the internet service providers? I apologize because our stream is getting cut off. I'm not going to name them down the line, but you have everything in the county from fiber to cable to DSL to satellite to fixed wireless. There's a lot of different options and they're kind of sporadic. So what you can do is click on the FCC map, go to the parcel level, and it'll tell you who's providing service there. Most of the fiber, based on the maps, is based in the cities. I think Aurora has some. AT&T was in Ravenna, of course, Kent and Kent State. Very rarely do you see a little bit going out. I think there was a little bit going out into Manaway, probably from the Aurora side. But other than that, some of that information is proprietary, and the cable providers kind of hold on to that information. They don't want to show you where they have fiber and infrastructure. So, but that's pretty much down the list. I'm sure that's not everybody, but from what I can see, that's the majority of everybody that's in the county. Oh, Lloyd, what'd you touch? Oh, there you go. Lloyd.
Okay. We're not moving forward, Lloyd.
Go ahead and click this little area right here. See if it goes. All right, that's how we'll do it from here.
Okay, let me know.
So, all right, so the RFP process, we retrieved 3 examples from 3 different counties. That was Greene County, Coshocton, and an Eastgate study out of Trumbull, Ashtabula, and I think Mahoney.
Oh, okay.
We retrieved those. We took our, the fixed wireless study that we did from Flat Wireless, and we kind of synthesized the 2 and developed an RFP based on what we observed. We compiled the RFPs, and of course, internal services posted. I want to be grateful for internal services. We worked really hand in hand to get this information out. We released the RFPs for over a month each, and we did provide 1 extension to the fixed wireless side of the house, and we responded to a whole host of different questions. So I think at one time we had over 24 separate vendors show interest in the vendor. We ended up having 3 submittals on the fixed wireless side and 3 submittals on the fiber side. And then eventually, after we received the RFPs, we organized a committee and scored them. So we had our county administrator on that. We had information technology, we had budget and finance, grant administrator, Brett, of course, from EMA, and myself. And who am I missing? Missing anybody? Oh, Miss Town, Director Townend from Internal Services. So we had put a nice group together to look at the RFPs and score them based on the information that we put in the RFPs. Real quick on the Ohio Broadband Grant, there were some assumptions when we were talking that we would choose the vendor to also apply for Ohio Broadband Grant dollars. And what you're going to notice is in this map, it shows you that 62 counties were funded. It's around actually 31. And I think it kind of included some contingent counties that maybe had gotten touched by some of these projects, was around 31. Portage County, and most of it, you'll notice, went to the southeastern part of the Appalachian part of Ohio. And it was counties they call, what was the word? Putting you on the spot. Distressed. They call them distressed. So they went to distressed counties. So while we did not get any awarded in Ohio Broadband Grants out of the house because we're not considered distressed, which it's unfortunate we didn't get grant money, but it's also a great thing that we're not
distressed.
as bad off as
But
we
look at
thought.
our state. I'm surprised that we have so many distressed areas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And think about this. This is $232 million totally awarded, and that's going to reach
For
nearly
everything.
100,000 households. So
That's
think of-
not a lot.
That's in the grand scheme of things, you know.
No.
So, but we weren't considered distressed, and you'll see a little bit in Geauga, possibly touch Portage County, but, and that's some areas that we're also looking to close to. So a little bit of different kind of responses to the RFP. We kind of had a couple that maybe responded to the RFP as drafted, but we also received some information that you had to give some credit to because we had that little bit of information asymmetry we really didn't know. So there was a lot of different unique responses. From the fixed wireless side, we have everything from a county-wide perspective to more micro focus. So literally putting some equipment and focusing a signal to that individual house. Public utility was common in both. There was an option to establish a public utility. It was something that we kind of did discuss as a real viable option that would take a lot more research and study and organization, as well as establishing a whole new department. End user agreements were kind of different. There was individuals that had end user agreements, and there was a kind of intrusive, if you will, of putting equipment on someone's house and study. There was a lot more leverage the individual citizen would have to do to get the service, which I don't think was probably the most advantageous to the project we were looking to do. And then a whole discrepancy in cost assumptions and ambiguity on both sides. So there was a lot of differences in what people had opinion on what our capabilities and infrastructure was in Portage County. So especially on the fiber side, where someone said, you don't have any middle mile, we want you to put middle mile in, and we'll tell you what that is here in a little bit. And some said you had middle mile, you need to put last mile in. Someone said you had to put the whole backhaul. There was a lot of ambiguity in the responses and what people thought we did or didn't have. On the fiber cable side, we had a response that was focused more on public utility again and wanted us to do more planning to establish a public utility. I did put in parentheses as municipal focused. So anytime you hear like Fairlawn Gig, Medina Fiber, there were some other municipalities across the country that this vendor helped out, but you never saw anything from a county perspective. It was all kind of municipal perspective. So how do you do that from something as rural and geographically spread out as a county? We had
Ryan,
yes, ma'am.
oh, never mind. You were going to touch that. Go ahead.
Aerial microwaving ground. So there's all the assumption that fiber needs to go in the ground only. That's not the case. There's other aerial fiber. They can just string it from the towers, which is a little less intrusive. And then there's microwave. So you literally signal to provide. And then microwave is probably going to be used, especially on the fixed wireless side. We'll talk about backhaul, middle mile, and last mile here in a second. And then we also found out a majority of Portage County, the places that we're focused on, is actually already federally funded to be closed. So I'm actually going to show you that here in a little bit. And those were called Rural Digital Opportunity Funds, or RDOF. So there is some money already planned to come into Portage County. So
You know the timeline on that?
I do, and I'll share that here in a minute. Just to kind of show you the discrepancies again, a little different on the data side. How many vendors? We told you there was 3 and 3 on each side. How many submitted per the RFP requirements? 1 on each side as drafted. Exceeded FCC minimum requirements at 25 and 3, which I think that definition is now starting to change to 100 and 100. We had 2 on the fixed wireless side, all 3 on the cable fiber side, of course. Project cost and rate structure. Did they provide how much total project cost was going to cost, as well as the rate structure for the individual citizen? We can do all the projects we want, but if people can't afford it, we don't really get anything out of that. So both 1 on each side to actually give us a project cost and a rate structure. So if you're writing an RFP and it says explicitly provide this, it's a little frustrating when you don't explicitly provide that, especially when some of this money is significant capital investment for the future of their companies. Project management, all 3 on both sides had excellent project management experience to carry it out. And then explicitly note the unserved and underserved communities, only 1 on each side. So that's the focus of the ARPA funds, as well as some other funding, is we need to close these areas specifically. In the place, we try to close some of those anecdotal observations. We said in your art, please respond if you think there's other locations in Portage County that have issues outside the FCC maps. And one on each side did that. And then the last one is publicness. So these are private vendors that typically use their own capital funds to build their agencies or their programs. Now they're receiving tax to do so. So your attitude needs to change a little bit, kind of show a little bit of publicness. We did have 2 vendors on each side that kind of show willingness to do town halls, engage with the public, engage with us to make sure that we're providing a good service that the public wants. So there was a little bit of publicness on that side. All right, let's talk about backhaul, middle mile, and last mile. So this is kind of a nice analogy to kind of show it. Backhaul is considered the main infrastructure. If you think about it, they call it the Autobahn. This is kind of where all the fiber comes into the county. It's the main thoroughways. So for this map, we kind of went down the turnpike at 76 to just show you a graphic. It doesn't necessarily mean it's there. There is some there, but just showing you where it's at. The middle mile, if you will, is kind of considered the off ramps. A lot of times you'll see the middle mile infrastructure going down state highways, 43, 44, 224, Route 5. And then the last mile is the closest where you start getting out to individual township streets, county streets, maybe state streets, and getting out to individual homes. So what's a limitation that we had before that I believe is closed is, for example, let's say you only have an off ramp in Rootstown and the next one is Edinburgh. The houses that are in between typically can't be served. So you see they can only make those off ramps. Now there's actually a little different technology that allows you to put more off ramps in. So before you were kind of limited, and we'll show that to you in a second, but that's kind of what backhaul is, middle mile, if you will, and then last mile. We talked about ambiguity. Some people said we had good backhaul and dark fiber where it's hidden, nobody knows about it. Some people said we need to build a middle mile and do a public utility and then get the vendors to buy internet off of us. And then some said, no, you have the middle mile, you need to focus on the last mile, which I think is the overall goal of this project, is to get last mile to citizens. So the first vendor we interviewed on the fixed wireless side was called Ohio Transparent Telecom, or Ohio TT. They're based out of Zanesville, Ohio. The company is 1 year old, but does note that it has 60 years of combined experience. There was some good experience with them. They did formulate this company just a year ago. And this was the main company just awarded to Coshocton County for Coshocton County's full project. The concept is fixed wireless, but they don't like that term. That's maybe a little outdated term versus what the actual technology is. So we went in there with the assumptions, if you remember the maps, that the closer you are to the tower, the more strength and signal you're going to have. That's not the case. What's called massive MIMO LTE technology. Don't quote me on that. This is what it's called. And it's a 5G quality signal, and it's throughout the area served. So what you do is you have that individual tower, and let's just call it 100 megabytes. It's through the entire signal until it's gone. All right. So it's not 100, 50, 25 gone. It's 100, and then it just consistent. It just drops off like a waterfall. Okay. But you're showing a map here that they overlap. They note speeds in excess of 400 megabytes per second, but also reliably meet 120 throughout that signal. So 100 download, 20 upload. The good thing about them is fast deployment to needed areas. You can have internet operational and in a location within 90 days. So they can literally put this equipment on anything, like a water tower, top of a town hall, and we can provide internet to especially some of our more unserved communities within 90 days. They did show a lot of publicness. The individual that is the executive of this agency comes from a public background. So there was a lot of publicness and a lot of transparency with their dashboard and other services for the citizens. Pricing options for the citizens is $29 per month for 25, 49 per month for 50, and 79 per month for 100. And then of course there's financial assistance available for eligible homeowners that meet the criteria. And the reality is there is financial assistance available for everybody now, as long as they meet that criteria. And there's some other things that came out during COVID, especially school-age children. And there's other assistance available to make sure you get internet to the house through most vendors. I think that's a federal requirement. I think so. All right, so this kind of shows you the map. Obviously, some of this overlaps into other counties. So if you can pull kind of where Portage County is in that rectangle. The backhaul network that we showed you is continually monitored all the way in Columbus. So it connects to Columbus. Unresolved issues will be responded to in 1 day, more than 10 outages in a 4-hour response time. They do service level agreements with other contractors. They show a window, I think, open from 8 to 8 for general inquiries. So they are not a 24-hour operation, but they will respond to most outages. They don't expect to have a lot of disruptions at the individual household level. If it's something with a network, you can usually fix that in Columbus. 10 co-located sites. So they want to tap onto wireless cell phone towers and already tower or vertical infrastructure that's in the county. They also propose 13 new sites and 69 5G massive MIMO units all together to serve the entire county. All the towers range from 180 feet tall to over 300 feet tall. And the target completion of the project is Q3 of 2023. That was if we awarded them when this RFP was submitted. So you probably want to push that back another quarter into Q4. Total cost of the project was $7,450,000. And I think you're all aware of inflation, and the cost of steel is going up to build vertical infrastructure. So that cost is, we'll see if it fluctuates with everything's going on right now. But that is Ohio TT. The fiber side of the house, we interviewed Charter Communications, which is Spectrum. They noticed having a Streetsboro office and a total of 7,200 local employees. They mentioned, and this is where some of that discrepancy was between other vendors, that they have the middle mile in Portage County, and they'll show you on a map where that middle mile is. So they said, no, the middle mile exists. We don't need to put middle mile in. It's already in the county. We own it. Not we, county, Spectrum. Proposes a fiber to the premises, what's called Ethernet Passive Optical Network, or EPON. So the EPON is going to make a difference when we talk about off ramps. That's kind of where the flexibility comes in. But the biggest thing is we said fiber to the premises. So sometimes you hear FTTP, which means fiber to the pole, right? It goes to the pole in the street and it's something different to your house. No, this is fiber to your house. So when we talked about different projects, we always said that fiber was the Cadillac, and to get that to the house is a fantastic option. This is Spectrum Internet Gig Service, so up to 1,000 megabytes per second download, 500 megabytes per second upload, and then we provide the pricing in here. So you'll see that Spectrum Internet Assist, that's for eligible customers, is $17.99, and that's $34. Spectrum Internet, which is their normal customer based service, is $210 at $74.99. I would say that our committee members didn't leave any stones unturned. We did voice a little bit of frustration right there because I think that screams profit. Why can't you have 110 in there for maybe $39.99? Why can't we close that gap a little bit? So maybe some, the individuals that have to pay full price for everything and then they're broke afterwards. Why couldn't there be a service in the middle? So we did voice that opinion, and they actually went back to the drawing board and responded back to that. So this was the first submittal, and that was the price. Let's talk about the EPON network and that kind of that middle mile. For example, anything comes out of a central office. We told you in the fixed wireless side, that was Columbus. Okay. I'm not sure where the central office is for Spectrum, and then it comes to a distribution hub. This is the middle mile, and then they can break it out to splitters that eventually go to individual homes. So I think per splitter, I think it's served up to 54 homes on one splitter, and you saw the amount of internet that you can get on one splitter. So it gives a little bit more flexibility. When you look at their map, it's not the greatest map, but these locations, Kent Roads, Manaway, Atwater, and they note as Wyndham is your hubs. So that's where your middle mile is in the location. Some of this is proprietary mapping. We did ask for approval to use it, and they did provide it. So what they did respond to us, which was eye-opening, is Spectrum has already awarded the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund for numerous locations in Portage County. So where you see blue on that map, which almost overlaps entirely, which was our unserved and underserved communities, is already funded to be closed by Spectrum. The time frame on that, Vicki, is 2026. So they have till 2026 to do the project based on the federal grant dollars. We also said, please identify other locations. Spectrum identified 1,626 locations, of which 1,300 were already RUF funded, and a 6-year build out 2026. Based on this response, the first one, what they were actually looking for us to do is offset or supplant those federal dollars, and they promised that they would complete the project by 2024. So this is just another option, and I'm going to talk about other options here in a minute. And then we had a discrepancy in the total unserved areas. I showed you the address. That's not included on here. That's right around here. So once again, you're showing no issues. But Spectrum said they're willing to do some boots on the ground and go find these addresses with us, because if we have a discrepancy. And then we also created another tool I'm going to show you to help close some of that gaps. But this is the first response, and this is the total price. So if we offset the RUF dollars and we close that project by 2024, they wanted about $5.2 million up front to start the project, and the total project cost is $8 million. Miles, 189 miles of fiber, and serving about 1,600 people.
Brian, could you do that again? You said federal dollars are already there to offset. Is that 8.2 million ours, or is that total would be 8.2 million, and how much does the federal dollars up?
I'm not sure how much federal dollars already came to Portage. I'm assuming it's close to that number.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they're already federally funded millions of dollars to close these gaps. Now, if we supplant the federal dollars to expedite the project.
So define that supplant.
So basically,
We pay for it?
fund it.
Okay.
that money doesn't go to another community, it goes back to the federal government. So that's something to consider. There's already monies coming into Portage County to close some of these gaps.
And what's their time frame to use that federal dollars versus
2026.
2026? If we do it, it costs us 8.2 million, they'll have it done by 24. Okay.
So this was the first response. As we said, we didn't leave a stone unturned. We asked a lot of questions. We had a discrepancy with their mapping. I do want to point out, and it's a little blurry, but you'll see that, notice that red, a little bit of red, that's Windstream. So Windstream was also awarded federal dollars to do projects in Portage County. And one of the things you need to know is that they will not go into each other's territory. So for example, if a customer is Windstream, or if a customer is Charter and they're saying we don't have internet, Charter won't go into Windstream's territory to provide that last mile. They're just not going to do it. So there's a little bit of discrepancy there. And you'll notice Windstream is some near those Charlestown and Paris borders. So even though this is focused on Spectrum and Charter, when we do go out and do some boots on the ground and maybe find onesie twosies that are out in the community, you actually may have to go with an agreement with Windstream down the road to close some of those last. So we may have to include a vendor naturally. Obviously, if there's a competitive procurement process, we'll do that, but there's nobody else that's going to go into these areas. So, and this was the first response from Spectrum, and that was the price. So Spectrum went back to the drawing board. We said, what other options are available? We don't agree with your mapping. We think there's other unserved, underserved communities. And if you remember from here, that $8 million included the blue, but also these other areas they included. So where you see the yellow dots and the green dots, that was also included. They said, we found these areas, $8 million. We closed this in 2024, and we closed these other areas. So I apologize, I didn't say that clearly. They went back to the drawing board and said, okay, well, Portage County does not want to do the offset of the RDOF dollars. Then we will do another project. And by the way, we also found other areas that we didn't originally find on our map. So they revisited the mapping and the consumer cost options. They did respond to us with some other available options for individuals that may qualify. It was kind of towards that low income realm. It wasn't that 100 service for $39.99 I talked about. I thought that was a better option for them. Oops, sorry. And schedule need to be determined eventually if we do choose. So what they decided to do is said, okay, no longer fund here. We'll close all these areas where you see these dots. We're no longer supplanting the RDOF sites. This was the original cost for project 1. This is the cost now for project 2. So if you don't offset the RDOF and we close all those other homes, which is 406 homes, 36 total miles for $1.9 million. So most of that unserved, well, all of that unserved community will be closed either by RDOF dollars and then the contribution from Portage County. What was unique in their second response is Charter said they'll contribute $812,000 of their own capital money to do this project, of which now the total project cost is $1.1 million. So that pretty much closes the entire unserved communities, fiber to the premise for $1.1 million.
What's the time frame for that one?
That's where I put in there. We got to determine that schedule.
Okay.
So
there, because the 8 million, federal funds are already available in their 2026. So we're going to say, hey, we're going to use federal funds and we're going to give some money. And we don't know the time frame for that. That's not 2024.
does anybody recall the time frame on that second response? I think, when you go into negotiations, I think we can influence.
Because, we have a time frame for the ARPA money.
Well, that's the timeframe for the ARPA. We have to have the projects identified by 2024 and we have to have it completed by 2026. So it correlates with the ARPA funds.
I see in their response to close all these areas by 2024, I think there's opportunity to close the gaps by 2024. At least when you go into negotiations with the vendor, maybe you encourage that.
I think it would have to be.
Yeah,
They
that's
did
the
talk
thing.
about that, Ryan.
Yeah, they did.
They did not give us a specific date, but they did talk about still wanting to achieve what you had initially requested.
So then that goes to towers.
No, this is fiber to the.
This is just fiber. We don't need towers
Well,
to do this. We need towers, but
I'm going to show you options
Okay.
that you may have here in a minute. But I just want to show you what Spectrum's second response was.
great. That's awesome.
All right. So the options available to you. Right
Thank
next
you.
to slide. So this is what's available to you based on the research and the responses to the RFPs. You can do a countywide fixed wireless project. That was the green maps, the green. You can cover all the areas. Some of the benefits to that is geography. You're serving a larger geographic swath. It breaks up a monopoly. There is a monopoly that exists in Portage County. So Spectrum could increase their costs and there's nothing you could absolutely do about it. All right, so to have another vendor, having another competitor usually drives costs down. And then the technology, I think we went in there thinking we didn't really know what the technology was gonna be. Is it gonna last 10 years? And I think I left comfortable, and you're more than welcome to speak up, is I left a little more comfortable with the technology. I thought it was actually pretty interesting, fascinating, and really fantastic option for Portage County. The second option is to do the Spectrum RDOF advancement. So go ahead and fund the RDOF advancement. They return those monies back to the federal government, and we expedite that time frame. The advantages to that, that's fiber to the premises, that's Cadillac. And we expedite the time frame to 2024. Or we do the Spectrum non-RDOF project, which is once again, fiber to the premises, closes more gaps, but it's a little prolonged, right? So we're gonna be willfully admitting that we're gonna go 2024, if not out a little longer, which I'm sure some of these citizens in the area want internet yesterday.
Yeah.
But with federal money already coming into Portage County to close these gaps, it's hard to deny already funded areas, like at least from my opinion. Or you have a mixed use, so you can do some fixed wireless and you can continue to close the gaps with the fiber to the premises for Spectrum. What that does is increase time frame. We told you we can get internet up and running if there's a vertical asset within 90 days, and you're covering a large geographic swath. And then we close gaps where other vendors won't. So if we're having stubborn vendors that don't admit that there's onesie twosies throughout the area, that fixed wireless is going to catch them with signal. So based on all the responses, these are the 4 options available to you. Now, some of the things that we wanted to do, and we drafted it for you. So for an example, is close these gaps. I think we're going to have to do boots on the ground by myself, if not with vendors. So we compiled this as an example. This is a residential broadband survey that we can send out to all our local officials because they know their communities better than we do. All right, we'll pass around, you can see that as well. So what you're going to see here is a little bit of an introductory material on the first page. This kind of shows you where we think there's discrepancies. We also insert on the second page the map showing where we think there's unserved communities, which in the email tells you there's more than we're outside this. The next page shows you the reason behind the study and also shows a signature block for you to show you that we're doing a residential broadband survey to find some of these areas. And then it's really brief and simple, 6 questions. And this will help define, do we have access issues? Is it affordability issues or is it adoption issues? So we can close those gaps. And then it helps define specific addresses. Because even doing on boots on the ground, there's a chance to miss somebody. And at least in my opinion, especially I'll go back just a couple slides, is if we're going to do this project and we're going to have this one opportunity, there shouldn't be a house in Portage County that doesn't have internet, unless you absolutely miss them or they did not respond to it. You know? So just to show you a little bit of the discrepancy side of the house, on this map, you're going to notice a lot of light pink, light pink, light pink, light pink, light pink, light pink, light pink. Some of that's in our anecdotal places like Deerfield and other places that had challenges with internet. If you look at the legend, that's showing less than 25 megabytes per second download, which is that's Spectrum owned territory.
Wow.
So if we have pink, that's less than 25 megabytes per second download, we need to close those areas.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking at a potential investment of only 1.1.
That's worse than dial-up.
But the other thing is to look at also, if you look at that pink, that's Berlin Lake, that's Mogador Reservoir, that's Twin Lakes, that's West Branch Reservoir. So that could, from a parcel perspective, from a GIS parcel perspective, that could absolutely be influencing the map. Doesn't mean that there's not addresses around those waterways. I'm not sure what's going on here in the Randolph. There's no water there, but that may just be rural. But there's other places, I think that's a War Lake, and other places that we need to find for sure that there's not houses there. I just wanted to show you that map that they're identifying that there's less internet, but that could just be the main reservoir. We should try to work either through the survey or doing some boots on the ground or a mix of both and doing some outreach and going to the township trustees to find these areas. We definitely need our township trustees and our villages, and even cities, if there's pink in cities, to help close those areas.
Ryan, when you say boots on the ground, you're talking about, you said possibly getting the vendors as well as you go out there?
I mean, I'll do what he's done.
Well, no, I was thinking maybe we should hire canvassers or something.
What do you mean by
If
boots on the
that got
ground?
to that point.
I mean, physically going out and finding these addresses through the survey.
Okay, surveys come in, we get 150 addresses and we have 0 zip.
Yep, we take the addresses, give them to Spectrum. Spectrum goes over the maps and confirms they don't have internet. And Spectrum they're willing to go on the ground and find these addresses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be a heavy lift, but I think you can move forward with the project. And then simultaneously, we're doing some of that information, and then we continue to provide you updates. Like, hey, we do have a house here, $15,000 will close that gap. We do have a house here, $10,000 will close that gap. And we'll provide internet there. Since you have 2024 to encumber the funds, 2026 to spend them,
Mhm.
we do have a little bit of flexibility to find these addresses while moving
Yeah.
forward now with the project. So where do we go from here? You can always schedule potential vendors to present to you if you want to hear specifically from them. Maybe we can go back. If you have questions, we'll send them questions and try to figure out like what's the time frame, for example. Like I'm hearing that clearly. We want to know a time frame
Mhm.
on if we want to do option 2 for charter, or if we want to move for fixed wireless. We did give you a time frame. I did put town halls originally, but Spectrum's already dominate there. Their infrastructure is already there. So if you go on the charter side of the house, I don't know if town halls are needed. It's not too intrusive. If we do the fixed wireless side, I think that's a kind of a different concept that citizens, we're putting vertical infrastructure up. It's a little more intrusive. So you're probably going to want to do some town halls and just explain kind of what the project is and what's going on. Close anecdotal observations through the survey simultaneously, and then hopefully implement some identified projects based on this response. That's it.
Nice job.
Thank you, Ryan. That's very comprehensive.
Yeah, and I would like a presentation. I noticed that everything from.
Yeah, you just said town halls. Township Association meeting, you have all the trustees all in one place. And at one, you do this presentation to every trustee in the county at the exact same time. And get their
We're gonna need
feedback so
their
they, pardon?
We're going to need their help.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to see, like, we have Saturday, so that what the quarterly.
yeah.
Do
It's quarterly.
that, yeah. Have them, you do this in front of every one of them, because they are the key to.
Well, the
getting this
schedule's
done.
already booked
Booked, yeah.
for presentations though. And that would have been the perfect one because that normally has the largest
most,
turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But again, not everyone attends the township meetings. There's a lot of townships that
Franklin never knows.
but if we tell them, this is it, this is
Yeah.
what they've all been
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah, it's a
For
good place to
decades.
start, but yeah.
but yeah,
What's
just so they all see.
also available to you is a lot of the townships, I don't know if they know what to do with the ARPA money. Maybe they don't know what projects to do. There may be some commitment locally from them to also contribute to this project.
Yeah, and I got a couple
Especially
call me, and I've referred them to Allison to help with that. So,
Okay.
and Allison's been very helpful, so I want to give a shout out to Allison
Yeah.
because they definitely appreciate the assistance.
Cool education you're getting here, Alice.
So
Do you want me to reach out to see when we can get Ryan to do a presentation for them?
well, I'm gonna work with Jill.
That'd be helpful.
She's still out there, so
Well, yeah,
I would
Yeah,
work
me
with
to
Jill.
township.
So maybe even because, pardon?
August.
Yeah, and Sabrina said they're booked already, but I think this could supersede a lot of the things that they have. This is on the forefront of everybody in this county is
Yeah,
talking about
and they could
this.
probably plan better if we book it, give them some more time,
Yeah.
because they'll probably need a larger venue.
Get them all.
Or they'll need to have electronics and
Mhm.
stuff so that we can present.
There you go.
Great, nice job. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that and then I will let the entire committee know.
Yeah, and you'll want to get a hold of, you'll probably start with Lori Kelsey.
Mhm.
She's the secretary. Or Vince Koya, he's the president.
See if we can get them to move us to head
Right,
of the
right,
line.
yeah, no problem.
The marching orders have to do whatever.
All right.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you for all your work and your committee's work on this. It's great.
It was a team effort by everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting to find out about the fiber.
We had a little more infrastructure than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good news. So the last part, our towers for Marks, how does this tie into that?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So, we did the fact, well, it ties in. So if you do one project over the other,
Mhm.
then there's the opportunity for dual purpose. So if, depending on what direction you go, I'm gonna keep going down that road in another way. So,
Right.
you know,
So have we looked, is there grant money for the towers that we had? We had 3 to 5 towers was the thought process a while back?
correct. No, there is not grant.
Okay.
So we discussed capital budgets and then state legislators, and then
Yeah, because I thought it was like $750,000 a tower or something.
it was, it's going up.
So probably about $1 million at least.
So it was like 500 to start off, and then now it's like 675. The
Okay.
last one that was quoted from Wayne County,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I'm sure that's gone up since then. So,
And we,
maybe you gotta be a little patient right now and let things kind of pan out a little bit. But
if we were to do this, where instead of 88.2 million, it's about 2 million
Mhm.
that we do that, then we still have the ARPA money that we could use for the Marks Towers to put 3 to 5
You
those
can do
in.
dual purpose still, yes, there is opportunities there, but it would have to obviously fit the grant. It had to fit the grant
Verify that we
requirements.
could use ARPA money on the Marks Tower.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can, because I don't know how that's.
Yeah, for broadband for the ARPA money, it's
Mhm.
primarily meant to be for those unserved.
Underserved, the
Yes.
community. ones.
Yeah,
Because we still have to answer that question.
Which one, Marks?
The Marks Towers.
I'm working on that.
Okay, good.
We'll continue to talk about that.
Okay, great. Right,
Depending on what option you go with.
Yep.
So,
right, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but great job.
thank you.
Nice, very nice job.
Have a great day.
Good job.
Seeing everyone.
Brett, thank you.
Bye,
See you
Brett.
guys. Have a good day.
Oh, that was good. That's very promising. I like that.
We work really hard.
Well, they're doing, yeah, I like sticking him on a project.
Joey,
Joanne?
out there?
Come on in.
Hello, hello.
Brought my backup with me today.
All right.
Shannon, did
The
you guys
backup.
color
There you go.
coordinate?
Yes, I did.
They color coordinated.
I didn't even
Well,
know.
we can do
Yeah,
that
right.
for you.
It was a surprise.
All right, ladies,
All right,
floor is yours.
the very first topic of conversation now would be the elevators at the Ravenna Courthouse. The main elevator, and the jail elevator are both starting to fail more and more. So we really need to look now at doing replacements there. So I wanted to give you the update. We've got it back into service, but that,
They were all parts from something else.
we don't know how long it before.
It's more than the Lula
Oh, yeah.
elevator. It's now the actual
The
main one.
main
from
elevator.
second.
It's, you know, and I've never, I mean, through my time here, I don't remember ever doing anything with that one. You know, that we've ever had to update anything or anything there. So, I mean,
It
it's,
started within the last 6 months.
it's probably at its time where it's, you
Well,
know,
it's a good thing
old and-
because they're always here servicing, so.
well, and
They would have had
so
no time.
the, and an update on the Lula is that it's coming,
It's gonna be June 12th. It's supposed to ship.
The
And they said
elevator's
it
supposed to
takes a
ship.
week.
the actual
The
Lula one.
Lula itself,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know who Lula is.
That's the limited
Limited-
use,
yeah.
limited access. That's
That's
the one
one
that
for
only
the
goes,
prisoners.
Only
No.
goes from the background up to the
Top.
second.
when you
floor.
walk into the courthouse, it's
Yeah,
the one
okay,
sitting right
right.
there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Then you take the main elevator, which now is not.
Working.
So
To the
they,
rest.
yeah, they
That's
have to
the-
use the jail elevator
That's
right
the
now
one that's
sometimes.
starting to fail, and we really need to get on top of getting that. We're gonna have a survey done. They're supposed to come out Friday
Next Friday, the 27th at 9.
and tell us what we can expect on that one.
And how much?
And I really don't know. I mean, when I'm thinking about it, it's like, well, knowing what it's taken to do the Lula, I can only imagine if we have to take one down there. You know, we have to make sure that we have everything there so that they can take one out, and put one in. You know, and not try to stretch it out, but I really don't want to think about it because
It's
that
gonna be
building
a
only
nightmare.
has the one and it'll create.
So for the Lula one, they thought they had it fixed. Then is that being replaced
That's
the
the
Lula
Lula
one
one.
is
coming.
That's when it's coming
Yeah.
June 12th.
to June 12th?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, shipping, excuse me.
yeah, that was the one that we had the problem with.
Everything takes
And then
months.
all of a
But
sudden,
meanwhile,
the other one.
The other
now
one.
the main one is.
Yeah.
What's the cost for Lula?
Oh, gosh. I'd have to go look.
Yeah, I don't know.
This was
what the
ordered
cost
like-
Was
What, 2 months ago?
quite a while.
We had to hurry up and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to.
we just
I'll find
wanted
that
to
out
give
for
you an update that it's, we're
The
now
other one's
looking
coming.
at, we're now looking at another one besides what we were thinking about the 3 here that need to be replaced
Yeah.
and getting that going too.
I'm telling you,
So,
these
it's-
need to
yeah,
go too. So
my.
maybe we'll get a discount.
We
Did you
should.
ask about
Buy
that? Buy three, get one
Buy
free.
three, there you go.
We like it, ask, right? Yeah,
Buy one, get one.
absolutely.
Upgrade it.
Try your BOGO.
Our number 2, the Kent Muni Port Planters, okay. Mr. Burbick, if you remember him, he
Oh,
was the one that
yes,
donated the
yes.
planters in the front.
Yes.
And they used to take care of them, and then he passed, and no one is doing that now on his behalf.
His wife has passed.
So do you want us to go ahead and just have maintenance pick
Yes.
something up and put it in there? and keep them
Or
going?
just put.
Because the judges are really like, we
Or
want,
just plant
we want to
flowers.
see flowers in there.
Because we're just planting
Yeah.
flowers.
And keeping them alive.
for the, for the.
That's my goal.
More than a week.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if that's a,
How
we'll
many
just
planters are there?
two, yeah, it's
They're-
only
they're
right,
big.
right there at
Yeah,
the main
Okay,
doors,
they're big,
so.
big, big
Yeah,
stuff.
I always thought, we're doing a lot with our main entrance here because it really lacked curb appeal. Maybe eventually we could do something like planters outside the front entrance, where of our doors, maybe.
You know where they put those boulders in out
Yes.
front? They're gonna actually put decorative grass in there this year.
Are they? Yes.
They were supposed to do it last year, but it was
a
funky
little
weather.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like low maintenance stuff.
Yeah, make it inviting.
We used to have, around the front and stuff.
Oh,
and
it's
then-
overthrown.
And I know it's a lot of work. And even those flower beds, remember, they were getting all weeded, by the main entrance there.
Mhm.
But we could do something that, or even just something ornamental, But anyways, go on. I'm sorry, I'm
That's
digressing.
okay. Number 3 is the Wick Lisbon building. Okay, so we have no bids, which I expected. We didn't,
We never get any bids, do we?
No.
Not for that place.
And you say it exactly, because we were talking this morning and I said, we never really have sold regional planning either. So he started leasing out more space there. What do you want to do with Wick and Lisbon then? I mean, I looked in Columbiana County has it listed, or their total for the building, the auditor's records is $468,800. Now, we spent and put into that building $549,000 when we did that. And then when we got it appraised back in 2016 to be able to sell or whatever, it only appraised for 350. So it's like, what do you want?
How much does that building yearly cost us?
You mean with like electric? and-
Electric, whatever it costs, property
We don't-
tax.
Well, see,
electric.
the health department has to pay or the WIC department pays those, so we could go down and research that.
Yeah.
The only thing that our guys do go,
Twice a year.
Twice a year and do general.
And they drive 4 hours, do maintenance and come home.
Mhm.
So
Have to get, usually
they have
Anderson's
their
has a
own snow,
list of
we got a
everything that
snow
needs to be
plowing place
fixed.
down
Yeah,
there, and
the
I
hardware
think
stores
everything,
there.
local maintenance,
So go.
they
So-
do that.
So we've got almost $1 million into it, right? That's what you
Mhm.
just said. Am I calculating in my brain?
No, it's
468,000, 500,000?
No, it's 500.
We paid for the building and the renovations we did in the second floor, the $500,000.
What we paid plus that. Okay,
Yeah.
that
But
was
the
the
rent
total.
we have taken in over the years has more than
Taking care of that.
recouped that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I know that the issue came up that he wanted to know, I think Joe Diorio wanted to know if we would donate, would turn over to him, would
No.
give him the building.
My answer would be no, and only because Portage County residents paid for a building in another county, and Vicky probably remembers this. Remember the guy that used to call Maureen, like,
Oh, yeah.
all the time
Yes.
yelling at her that they bought that building with our taxpayer dollars to service
Right.
another county's residents. I would not be in favor of just saying, oh, here, Portage County Health Department,
Mhm.
take this over, because I feel like we owe that back. We need to try to recoup some of that, even though we've recouped our initial investment.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Is there a figure?
I mean,
That
if we
you
want to
would
do it,
think
but to
that you
give
could-
it to them, I don't think would be.
If you don't
fair.
want to get, is there a figure that maybe they could,
Just-
maybe they would want to do?
Yeah.
So
Do
that's what I
we
mean.
want to look
And
at
we
it that
can
way and see?
negotiate. I would be fine with that, but I would not be in favor of just giving it to them. I mean, I don't know how Tony and Vicky feels, but I just remember that
Well-
being an ongoing
Well,
issue.
the guy that was calling Maureen wanted us to sell it, and as you see,
Yeah.
we've tried.
Well, and
Yeah.
back in the day, when we were looking for that, there was a need back then.
There was a
for
need back
buildings.
then.
Well, now,
There's
I think
no.
they've built up a lot of things there and there's plenty of buildings
Well,
and
and not
nobody
only-
wants to buy or lease or do
Or
anything
no,
anymore.
or with gas going up and people wanting to work from home, this COVID thing has totally changed
Yeah.
the workforce.
Yeah.
And there isn't gonna be a need. But again, I mean, I'm willing to be fair with an offer to the health department, but just to give that to them, I would not be in favor of.
Yeah, I know that's what he had asked. So I didn't know what you,
Yeah.
So that's what does that building cost us every single year? And what do we get back from that every single year?
okay.
It doesn't sound like we get much.
The cost
and it-
benefits, what you're wanting to know.
Okay.
Period. And I agree with Sabrina with the word but after that. The but is, it's kicking our butts.
Yes,
And, there's a time that whether we offer to them for whatever dollar
Yeah.
amount that it is,
I mean, like I
but we
said,
gotta cut our losses
Right.
for what we're doing. It's not worth what we,
yeah,
put into it.
the actual
Correct.
cost now is very minimal because the health department runs from us and they cover all that.
so what if they
So
move?
if,
So there's more accessible, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a feasibility,
well,
that's a
they
possibility
could move.
to be able to do that. And that's what I'd like to see is, what's
Okay.
it costing us? What do we benefit from it? When do we cut it loose?
We
What do
can-
we ask, $150 or $200,000 for them,
Okay.
give them a deal or
Well, I
something?
know they're in the process that they haven't already closed on the First Place Bank building. So,
Here,
yes.
yeah, that kind of surprised me. Ooh,
Oh, no.
that's a huge.
that's a huge building.
Yeah. So then to turn around and say, oh, we're just gonna give them this.
I don't want to do that, but I don't have enough information to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, I don't either, but the question was,
Yeah.
Joe did ask.
Right.
I mean, doing his due diligence, and I understand it. His logic was, well, we've paid enough rent, we've more than paid. But
Should have bought it before, is
that's
the
right.
answer to that. But that's what.
But we are good business people, and it's our taxpayers' dollars that bought that.
And we
way
don't have
before
the
any of
information to make the
us.
decision.
And
All
so
right.
we need more
We can,
information.
okay, we'll get that put
Cost.
together for you.
What we make, is there any,
The reason they could buy it now is because the levy, right? Isn't that taxpayers' dollars?
Yeah.
That's why I think they're buying what they do and
Yeah.
are doing what they've done. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
so
Okay.
their first offer is sign it over to us.
Right.
So it's our turn to counteract.
All right, we'll get some
Yeah.
information and
Cool.
bring that back.
Yeah, and then we can work out something. Like I said, reasonable.
What was the appraisal of that building?
350, I think.
50 is what you said.
Back in
350,
2016.
2016. So
And what does the county have it assessed at? Have you ever seen? Have you ever been there?
468.8.
Yeah.
468.8.
Aren't we supposed to go to one of those tax
Columbia
things?
County, that's what they have,
Go downstairs.
the auditor's records.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Yeah,
we'll bring back some more.
all those different numbers to be able to make a logical.
Yeah, because what we may want to do is, like I said, once we get those, try to figure out an amicable one, and we would
Yeah.
take into consideration, that they've been good tenants and stuff. And like I said, it does create a hardship to some degree on our staffing, so.
All right, our number 4 department requests.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So the various departments have seen all the new improvements being done around the building.
Mhm.
So now they're coming forward and they'd like to say, Board of Elections was,
Want 2 rooms carpeted, 2 rooms painted.
more people are wanting things done.
Mhm.
So how do you want us to approach this? Do you want us to go out, listen to what they want, go out and get quotes from our vendors and then come back to you guys for funding? Or do you want to know first who's asking to say, okay, we're going to do this one and then go out? The one thing we don't want to do is keep asking our vendors for quotes all the time and then we don't.
Not doing
come
it.
do
do
anything.
anything.
Yeah,
That's what
They got
happened.
me very angry.
That's what happened with the big projects
Yeah.
that we've gotten pricing on
Correct.
for 3 years ago, but now we're finally doing, which is great. But
Maybe work with Joe to see what our budget would look like, what we would have. And then we maybe need to either prioritize those requests, or maybe we can fill all those requests. I would start with Joe just to see what we comfortably can, use out of the budget for requests. Because you're right, people start seeing things, start looking nice, they're like, hey, I would like some new carpet. And then,
Good.
like I said,
It's a good thing.
yeah.
I've
What
got
departments are asking?
jury chair,
Yeah,
Judge Pittman's courtroom with new jury chairs and
And that's been
carpeting.
That's a
17.
things like that.
priority.
And that's, and again, as long as I've been here, we've never updated
She's
that.
been really good. about
Exactly.
stuff like
So, you know, it's like, how do you say no?
What
And
other departments? So
I'm
Judge
adult
Pittman's
I'm
adult
adult
probation,
probation.
which they need a lot of work.
That building
But no,
is
so
awful.
I would, if you say a bunch of departments, which departments? So, you know, for what you just said, put Judge Pittman say up the top of that. And before I can go to Joe, I got to find out who wants what.
well,
how many
and the thing about it
places.
is that we have some that we've gotten pricing on.
Okay,
But the other thing is that the questions are coming now. And, you know, it's anybody that sees, then they start and then they.
by
want.
correct. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a long time since we've updated stuff from
I
every
mean, I've
department.
got access system at the jail.
Yeah.
You know, that building doesn't have an access system where you can swipe and get in. So,
To the
I'm
office,
looking-
office areas.
and so I'm
Sure.
looking there to get, you know, I've got
Office
quotes for that.
Sure. The jail?
At the
You know,
At the courthouse.
the administrative,
another
Justice
Center.
Justice Center, okay.
Yeah.
the administrative areas.
They needed that upgraded. I don't know who else I've got down there, but we've got those. And I thought, well, we just want to know, should we be getting quotes and working on things first? Or finding out first who you're,
Well,
how you want to
I
work
would
it?
suggest, as we've done in the past, I think you should get with Joe to see what our budget looks like.
Okay.
And then we may need to prioritize some of those requests, or some of them may be able to get deferred to another year, because every year we have budgeted for capital improvements. And that being said, you know, we only have so much money that
Right.
we can do. And plus, we don't want to do everything in one year, because then guess what? Then all of a sudden, it's not going to be wanting to be done again. And take a look at, like Judge Pittman. I agree with Tony. She should be a priority. I mean,
Right.
that's sad. I mean, her jury chairs, they've got tape on them. I'm like, what? So, you know, but she's one that doesn't come to us every 2
No,
years
she doesn't.
and want new carpeting
No.
and want new furniture.
So that's what I said. I got pricing on different things right away for them and turned it around and gave her choices on this and that. And I'm working with her.
And how much is
with
a
Vicky.
want versus a need? You know, because some people see it and it's like, well, I want new carpet too, but is it necessarily
Time.
warranted?
Yeah.
Or is it just a
It
want?
has been about 3 years since we did any quote unquote capital improvements.
Yeah.
I would say so. I
Right.
mean,
So we had
never
budgeted
got-
stuff like that, so there ought to be.
we would get pricing that people, to do the jobs, but then we never got the funding to do them.
Yeah, they sort of, and then 2 years of COVID, not, well,
Messed
last year nothing
everything up
got
as
done,
well.
but prior
I
to
mean,
that,
it's just, and then when you combine that with the fact that sometimes the product is even hard to get
The supply.
because, right, so
so there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
I would get with Joe. Joe, I'm sure you're in agreement with that. Get with him and see exactly how much we have left in capital improvements, because we've done a lot this year so far. And go from there. And then we would prioritize the projects. And plus, like you said, you may need to go out, or Shannon may need to go out and take a look at some of
We
these
should take a look at them.
requests.
How many requests do you have so far?
I think we have 4
departments.
yeah.
What departments
My-
besides the courthouse?
The courthouse,
The courthouse has one.
adult probation,
Yeah.
board of elections,
The Board of Elections, we've,
And the auditor.
taking
care of
they have.
they have 2 rooms that have to be.
These are now, this is.
These are big rooms. This is their voting room and their training room.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then they want painted,
Okay.
you'll have to.
We have the
You'll have to
auditor.
let me get you back to the other one. I can't remember.
good.
The auditor's floor.
Oh, the auditors for that's
It's
right.
all painting and all new
Carpet,
carpet.
redoing the bathrooms.
And redoing the bathroom. And then,
I think that was 4th.
so, and I've got the jail.
BOE.
That's 5. Yeah,
Auditor.
yeah.
Oh, 5, what was 5?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, the Justice Center,
Oh,
The Justice Center,
key
yeah,
fob
the
entries
access
to
system.
the
and
administration
Some, they wanted,
offices.
that had been on their list for a while is they wanted some doors moved or, they wanted to use some of the space out in the big lobby that they have for some other things. And that got put aside.
Which one's that? The big lobby? Sheriff's
Justice
Department?
The main
Justice
lobby.
Center, yeah, the main lobby. They
Okay,
wanted to,
gotcha. Yeah, I remember you
because
talking
it's
about
kind of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we know.
Waste of space, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have the idea of what you want, and then,
That with Joe, what everybody wants to get done and then.
Because nothing frustrates them more than getting a bunch of bids and then they get excited because they think you're moving forward. And then it's like, nope. So I would always start with our budget person to see and then try to prioritize. And then again, based on what's a want versus what is really needed. If we have to prioritize this year.
alrighty, and then the last item is the proposal from the Air AMCG.
Yes.
We wanted that put on my agenda.
Yep.
I
had a couple of questions.
So in reading it, I mean, this, I believe, as I read it and compared it to the meetings that I sat in, it seems like they've got you covered as to what it is you were asking for.
There are only two optional tasks that they had. And the first one is Board of Commissioners analysis of element 1 and element 2, the airport and the FBO. And I think it's for each one is $5,000. I mean, that was one of the ones I look at this and say, yes, I'd like to know what financials we have from both entities that are there. The optional task, the planning stage, can we wait as we get this information to that optional task, the sole option board
Yeah, and they
facilitate?
said that, but
Yeah.
we asked them to quote that because if we decide to do it,
Yep.
we also need help with the strategic planning. I want to know where we're going to be at in 5 years, 10 years. What does the vision and the future of the airport hold versus us just taking it over and trying to make it sustainable? And he said that would follow after he does element 1 and 2.
So that's where optional task 1 should be right up there. What are these two entities actually financially doing to us? Or what do they need? And then we have the information to go into the task, the optional task.
And then the third would be the strategic
Yep.
planning.
So I'd like to see the optional tasks of element 1 and 2,
along with
with
the elements 1, 2, 3, yes.
And that should be number 4. And then as we look at this, then we could strategically plan
And then we would add in both expenses on what they've given you.
yes.
So, okay, so then, do you want me to do a BUA? Are you gonna put this in a separate fund
Airport?
for the airport?
I'm talking about it, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, so for now, in general.
okay, all right, so, well, I'll get a BUA put through so that we can
What's a BUA?
income budget amendment.
Boo.
I'm like a boo. What is that?
So
That's an old acronym. That's an old munis term, sorry about that.
So we have element 4, A and B. Yes? But there's element 1, 2, 3, and we want element 4 with A and B,
What are you talking about element 4?
because it's not there, because it says optional task.
Optional tasks, you're calling that for you.
I-
Oh, I
I'm
was
just- yeah, I
what
got it.
am I missing?
Okay, cool.
I think I have what you want.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Thank you.
right, and I'll get that BUA put in so that we can do, and I'll get a resolution done so that we can go into contract with them then for you for next time.
Yes.
It's exciting.
All right, well, that takes us to 3 simple resolutions.
Yes.
Thanks for that real quick. You're gonna work with Joe to create that fund and create
A fund, no, he wants me to take it out of the general fund one
For right now,
and
you're gonna
then
create a fund.
eventually I think that's what he said he's gonna do. Yeah,
The board wants to do it, I just haven't brought it up yet.
Okay.
So they'll work together. We gotta get moving because we have a ton of
And recap.
projects here. And the
Okay.
recap,
And then
okay,
you continue doing the 0, 1, 2, like you have.
okay, in the general fund.
Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement on behalf of Portage County Jobs and Family Services and the Family and Community Services, Inc. for the family team meeting facilitative services, child services.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Board of Commissioners agrees to set a request for proposal date of children's services for Portage County Jobs and Family Services Department.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into inmate visitor and staff meal pricing, Portage County Jail for the Armaka Correctional Services, Inc.
Second.
I'm sorry, agrees to the increase, right,
Yeah.
for the staff meals.
We bid this back in 2021 and every year
It goes up.
because of the consumer price index.
Right.
This year went up quite a bit because it did. So
But it's not, it's still, it was like, it used to be $1.20 something and now it's
it's not unreasonable.
$1.30.
No, but it increased
It is
like
what it
everybody
is.
else.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
roll call?
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Can we take a moment break?
Yeah, you wanna make it quick because
Clear my brain.
we got Mr. Come on up, David.
You can take your time.
No, come on up.
Good, right?
Yeah, he's gonna take a break, but come on up. He'll be back. Mr. Shea,
Yes, yes.
Good seeing you.
how are you?
I'm here. I'm good.
Got up this morning, you can walk.
Yes,
you can talk,
I'm still above
you
ground.
can hear.
Regina was gonna,
Glad.
come with me and she has COVID.
Oh, no.
Are you serious?
Yeah, her husband was exposed to it. He got it because he works he's a corrections officer in Medina. So he's been cloistered since like Friday, Saturday, and she wasn't symptomatic. She didn't get it. I said, if you're gonna come with me, you're gonna take a COVID test this morning. She has it.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
I know. Me too, because she wasn't sitting next to me.
Yeah, thank you for not bringing her in.
So
Yeah.
I apologize on her behalf.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get ready to kick off the summer programs?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, and the food programs
yes.
for the kids. I'll have to
Yes.
volunteer again for that. I really like doing that.
You can. One of the things,
See.
well, there are a bunch of changes
There you
this
go.
year because you're back to congregate meals and all the federal guidelines. Because in the
Yeah.
past, we could distribute them and do good stuff. Now every child has to come and sit and eat,
Oh,
which is the way it used to be.
yeah.
So
I miss who you are. I'm
Commissioner
Tony Battleman.
David Shea,
Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
Well, I have a little handout for you and you guys could,
Okay. I'll hand this.
I can talk to you.
I'm gonna just-
I can.
Vicky, oh, I'm sorry, Vicky.
That's just a flyer. Take a look at it. I just wanted to talk to you.
I'll
Oh, you
take it.
need one too? Sorry.
I'm sorry, I gave mine. Do you have an extra one or
I do.
Michelle and Vicky's? Oh,
I
okay.
got mine.
Thank you. And now I need to use Wi-Fi. Favorite when you're done.
And first of all, I want to apologize for not being here earlier. You know, for over the past 2 years, it's been crazy.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I told him in January I'm coming and it's already May.
I have this problem myself, so.
But you know what, David, it seems like 2 years of a lull and then all of a sudden the gates are open. It's like every night I run from sun up to sundown because
I know.
everyone's
I know.
getting back
So
into
we-
it.
I don't know how much
That's
time I
okay.
have, what do you want to talk about, whatever. But I thought I'd tell you for the benefit of the commissioner, who we are. 'cause
Okay, please.
I've never met you.
Yep.
We've been around for 57 years. We started under the war on poverty in the 60s under Lyndon Johnson. We've been around that long, but we've morphed a lot over the years. We're no longer what we were then. And I remember reading an article back in the 60s and they said we could solve poverty, and we're an anti-poverty agency. We're Portage County's designated anti-poverty agency. I remember reading an article, they said, if we can get sewers and electrics in McElrath and Skeels, there will be no more poverty in Portage County.
What?
Yeah, I read that. The first director of the agency was a guy by the name of Marcus Roberto,
Oh,
who was a state senator.
Yeah.
At the time, he was a history teacher in Ravenna School District.
Mhm.
So we've been around since then. We've morphed a lot. One of the things we pride ourselves on is something called the Community Services Block Grant, which is where we get our money, some of it. We're the only nonprofit social service agency in the country. There's 1,000 of us around the country that actually get funding from Congress. Everything is funneled through the state of Ohio, through the Ohio Department of Development. CSBG funds are not significant, about 300,000 a year, but they're in everything. And they govern everything we do. So the key to it is local control. The feds give, it's called a block grant. The feds give the money to the state allocates it to all the counties, and we are Portage County's designated anti-poverty agency. Some counties in the rural areas have like 5, 6 counties, some agencies, but we're only Portage County. So the key to it is
every year we do a needs assessment. We are required by law to have at least 1/3 of our board elected officials. You guys have a representative on the board. It's Mandy,
Ferdinand,
now Minnick.
Minnick.
Minnick. But any one of you could come to a meeting anytime you want. We have the mayor of Aurora. We have Lori Kelsey, county
Recorded.
auditor, Brett Crumis. I was moving
His
on.
treasurer.
Oh, he's treasurer.
I'm sorry.
He's
That's
not
our
on there
treasurer.
yet.
That's right. Gina Esposito has been on our board before, a long time ago. Then at least 1/3 of our board members have to be representative of low-income people or organizations that serve low-income people. And then 1/3 can be anybody else, private. We have business on it. We have Main Street Ravenna, a whole bunch of other people. You were actually on the board years ago before. you were
Oh, you
commissioner.
know what?
And
I had Mary Schaefer as my
Exactly.
representative.
Exactly.
Yes.
That was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we do.
Okay, so the first highlighted two words you have, and what started in 1960, this war on poverty.
Right.
I guess I was a little fella
So
in the 1960s. It hasn't worked so well.
no, it hasn't.
So,
because-
that's what is our objective? Because we haven't reached an objective that they did in the 60s. And so we're actually spinning our wheels really fast.
to a certain extent,
Yeah, so that's my question. War on poverty,
because the conditions of
50 years
poverty
later.
and the issues of poverty morph all the time.
Mhm.
A lot of people are in poverty I think nobody wants to be in poverty.
No,
And if I knew all the answers, there would be no poor people in Portage County. But there's a lot of
and that's
mental
not
health.
reality.
And the issues are, the barriers are, there's a lot of mental health issues that contributes, senior citizens on fixed incomes. There are many things.
Medical leave for
Yeah.
people. I mean,
One of the problems in Portage County right now is lack of affordable housing. I think everybody knows that.
No,
Mhm.
in many counties, yes.
And that was prevalent before the pandemic. It's certainly prevalent now because the cost of real estate.
Oh,
I mean, housing
Crazy.
prices are crazy.
I know.
The other thing about Portage County that's unique, and I don't know why. I don't know why Portage County has the 7th highest cost of housing of any county in Ohio. I mean, we're not Delaware County. We're not an extremely wealthy county. We're also not an extremely poor county.
Mhm.
But why is the cost of housing so high?
Go up north.
Geauga's crazy.
Well, I'm talking about Portage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Aurora, yeah.
Aurora. That's what
We have the mayor of Aurora on our board.
Yes, yeah.
It could be because of Kent State, it could be because of a lot of different things. Portage County is a desirable place to live. You can live here and work in multiple labor markets.
Right.
Versus not.
It's because of our geographic
I think so.
location, I think.
I
I
think so.
really
We
do.
got great freeways.
And Kent State doesn't help that situation either.
So we have Kent, we have Hiram, we
Yeah.
have Neomed.
Like a typical single-family home in Kent that is rented to students is going for $2,400 a month.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And some of the newer facilities they built closer to campus are, I couldn't live there. Nobody wants, they're like, whoa, big bucks. But we also have the second highest number of mobile homes of any county in Ohio.
Correct.
Figure that one out.
Wow.
Correct.
I don't know why that is either.
We were just like a housing destiny in some degree.
Yeah, so much. And what's happened over the years is a lot of poor people have been moving into mobile home parks
Mhm.
because they think it's cheap to live there. It's not. It's not.
Um,
But some of the programs we operate, we focus totally on mobile homes like home repair
Mhm.
because there's nobody else that can help them. And some of the stuff we've seen, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
specialty market that can fix like their HVAC systems, their plumbing, because everything's under.
Everything's crazy.
Yeah.
And if the mobile home starts going, there's no real wood in it. It goes fast.
Mhm.
It goes fast. Anyway, that's enough about us. Now I'm going to tell you what we've been up to. Currently, we have about 50 employees. We have 26 programs. Some of the bigger ones, we run the HEAP program. Everybody should know what that is. It provides utility assistance for lower income families. We operate a home weatherization program, the emergency home repair program, the after school program, summer food program, and our home relief program. Any question? You want me to talk about any one of those programs? Like, you were talking about the summer food program before.
Yes,
And
yes.
That's a big one for us.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
I volunteered last year for it. And if you want to tell a little bit and how many you serve, I'm sure you
Yeah.
probably have these numbers somewhere.
That's a different number.
Okay.
Yeah, last year we had 19 sites. During the pandemic, the feds and the state kind of relaxed some of the guidelines. So, because they didn't want people sitting, okay? But typically under the summer food program, we're required to have children. It's only for children. It's only for low-income children. And they-
Age of a child,
Pardon me?
age,
Anywhere between 1 and 18.
okay.
This year, we have 13 open sites around the county. What that means is they have to be in a designated low-income area. And any child could come and eat a breakfast and a lunch, okay? And it's free, okay? And we contract it out with a company called Innovation Foods, and we do everything else. And it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 years, under the pandemic, we had sites everywhere. We were working closely with the Ravenna School District to make sure the kids got fed because there was no school. We did over like 120,000 meals in the summertime. It was crazy. It's insane. Last year we did 50. This year we're projecting we're going to do in the 40s. Okay. So we have 13 sites. A lot of them are Ravenna. We have one in two in Charleston, 2 in Wyndham, et cetera, et cetera. They're all over
Because
the
there's a
place.
big need in the rural community.
Yeah,
People
big
never
time,
think of them.
big
They
time.
think of, Wyndham and
Right.
Ravenna, but there's a lot of
Yes, there is.
property and.
And one of the problems is they're not, some of the areas are not eligible under the guidelines because they have to be, the income in the census tract has to be below 50, more than 50% of people live there have to be below the poverty level, which is sometimes determined by the schools. Okay. For example, you live in Silver Meadows in Kent, you're not in a poverty area
What?
because of the size of the census tract.
Mhm.
If you drive out like Fairchild, Graham Road,
Yeah.
they're all new
They're not,
developments.
yeah.
They're part of that census tract.
Oh.
Okay,
that
so
really affects the.
it affects everything.
Yes.
It affects everything. So that's what I do too, based upon school data, about 40% to 45% of the children in Portage County are below poverty. That's based upon the Ohio Department of Education stuff that's collected from every school in the county. And child poverty is like crazy. It's like, why? When I started in Ravenna at CAC 20 years ago, it's been that long. No areas in Ravenna alone were eligible for the school lunch program, 100%. Ravenna is virtually 100% child poverty now. They're categorically eligible.
When did,
So is Wyndham.
about what time frame did that happen?
Over the last,
10, 15
I would say
years?
5 years.
Just over the last
Yeah.
5, really?
The only school that used to be eligible for the program, the summer food program, was Tappan, which was over, you know where Tappan is. It used to be, it's off of
Mhm.
Prospect,
Right.
Okay. Oh, okay.
going towards
Okay,
Ridge.
yes, gotcha.
It's no longer a school, but now every school in Ravenna is eligible, everyone. And we're partnering with the school district again this year for their summer program, and they're having their summer program, it's their summer learning program at the high school for
Oh,
8 weeks.
Seeing as if you've been here for 20 years and that's about the last 5, what do you attribute that to? Your boots on the ground type guy?
A lot of job, if people live in Portage County, they could have worked anywhere. They could have worked in Trumbull County. They could have worked in Youngstown. They could have worked in Cleveland. Trumbull County alone lost 9,000 jobs at Packard Electric.
Right.
Lordstown is no longer, a lot of people that live in Portage County work for Lordstown. It
Mhm.
doesn't exist anymore.
That's right.
A lot of blue collar jobs
Yeah.
that don't exist.
Good paying,
Yeah.
blue collar jobs.
Good
I mean, there's jobs out there,
There
but
are.
not what they lost.
Right.
With that vagueness is how much of Portage County, we have the number going up. How many people in Portage County worked at Lordstown or some of
I
the
don't
other
know.
places that close?
I
I mean, that's,
I know a lot of people that
we,
did.
we say that are they in poverty now?
They're probably retired now.
Exactly. That's what I'm
With
that's what I'm
a-
asking.
Don't they
You're
sit
talking the
down?
last 5 years,
Yeah.
this going up and
But that's
I'm
what's
having a
happening.
hard time just.
Me too.
I want to
If I had
say,
all the answers, there would be no poverty.
I
You got more
wanna
answers
say-
than I got, so.
it was like 6,000 to 7,000. There was an impact study done when Lordstown closed. Brad Earhart would have that.
But that's been about, what, 10, 12 years now?
Mm-mm.
No,
Last 8?
No.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
But it was
yeah.
cutting back.
Yeah.
Well, because remember, Lordstown focused entirely on the cruise,
Right.
the Chevrolet Cruise.
That was the last, yeah.
Yes, and the cruise hasn't been around that long,
No.
2012.
something like that.
That's where I'm just trying to get a handle on
Yeah.
what the statistics you gave us for the last few years.
Yeah.
On all the poverty and how many people were retiring from Lordstown, and those other places.
I was
And
using
just-
that as an example.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around.
Why has Ravenna changed so much? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot, 3 highest poverty areas in the county. This is now, remember, this is based upon the 2020 census, okay? 19, all the updates. were census tracts in Kent on the south side, in the center of Kent, and McElrath.
Well, I can
But
tell you
there are
my
areas in
logic on
Elmira,
that.
too.
I can tell you my logic on that. That's because we're gonna get a lot of people that are importing from Cuyahoga County and from Trumbull County
Awesome.
coming to Portage.
We've seen
And
that
I
a lot.
see that as a landlord. I mean,
Right.
a lot of
Right.
people are coming from the surrounding communities.
You know, a lot of people come to Portage County to go to Kent State, and then they drop out and they stay. You know? I don't know. But I want to talk to you about a couple other things too. Last year, people don't realize this, and we're pretty bad about publicizing ourselves, but last year we served over 13,000 families, and that's like massive. Highest level of assistance we've ever done. And I can read off a whole bunch of stuff. Over 9,000 families received some type of utility assistance. Almost 1,200 children received meals just in the summer. But the one thing I wanted to talk about the most, I guess, is because I haven't told you all this. I'm sure you guys have heard about it, but we, under the Consolidated Appropriations Act, which was passed by Congress right at the tail end of the Trump administration, they gave us a lot of money through the states for rent assistance, homeowner assistance, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we call it that's what Regina does now.
Yeah.
We call it our home relief program. We closed down our after-school program during the pandemic, and everybody has held there. So over the past 16 months, we've probably served 2,900 families. We have served 2,900 families for various types of rent assistance and mortgage assistance and utilities, which was crazy. I mean, we got $7.8 million. And if you'd have told me then that Portage County was large enough to spend that money, I would have said, no way. We're gonna spend it. I mean, there was an eviction moratorium. The banks were not foreclosing on people. And then the eviction moratorium was lifted, and it was crazy. And Regina could certainly attest to that. But that's why I gave you this. I wanted to kind of show you this. This is what we've done over the last 16 months. We spent a lot of money, and we're very careful with it too. This is not freebies. These are not freebies. There was an extensive process that everybody has to go through. It's not welfare. You have to have delinquencies. You have to have disconnect notices. You have to have eviction notices. And we are also on speed dial with Portage County Municipal Court for evictions. If we can prevent them, we will.
Yeah.
Keep people in their homes. But as you know, non-payment of rent is really not the most significant reason why people are evicted. There are other reasons, and we can't help that. They are not good renters.
Yeah.
They have other issues. But we've done a lot, and we've also prevented probably 100 foreclosures. And most of these people were not low income before the pandemic. They also have to sign documentation and provide proof that they were financially impacted by COVID. And I think that probably everybody in the world has been impacted by COVID in some way, because our lives are never back to normal.
No.
The workplace has changed, the way we do business has changed, everything's remote. And that's basically that. We don't want I don't want anything from you guys.
I appreciate you coming in and telling us about it, because I do. I actually have.
I
an
might
opinion.
want something from you down the road, as we update our community needs assessments and stuff like that. I'd like you guys to be involved.
Yeah.
So that
I would be
so that you can give
interested.
your perceptions too.
Mhm.
We get data from the census. I'm in constant contact with United Way in Summit County because we're part of their 211 system. And I constantly monitor the needs. The needs in the county, what people are contacting 211 for haven't changed, probably in 10 years. They're basic needs. Basic needs.
Thank you, sir.
Well, David, I just want to give a shout out to you and your staff. I know I've had numerous people, especially during the pandemic, that needed assistance, whether it be with rent assistance
Right,
or
right.
utilities or, heat. And your staff have always been very attentive and
We
very
try.
good. I've not had any complaints. And I just want to give a shout out to you and
Thank
your
you.
staff.
Thank
Doing a stellar job.
We don't do it
taking care
alone
of
either,
our-
I mean, we have
Yeah.
memorandums of agreement with 11 agencies. Coleman, FNCS, a whole bunch of people that help
It's working together.
access our services, and I don't, because I'm a big believer in partnerships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not alone.
And we
Yeah,
appreciate you
sure.
coming in today and
I'll come in.
especially
Yeah.
for,
I definitely appreciate
Commissioner
it.
Brown, Mitchie.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Anything you guys need?
Oh,
Thank you, David.
I know where to reach you.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today
You're welcome.
and sharing
Take
with
care.
us all the great things you.
You looking forward to retirement?
It's not really retirement, it's just retirement. from
Rewiring,
there.
rewiring, right?
Thanks,
Thank you.
David.
Hi, David.
How you doing?
Come on up, ladies.
We do have a 10:30 public hearing,
Oh, we do. Well, we'll have to do that first.
and it looks like she's here, so I can.
Yes, please have her come in and then Kelly Jo will switch you around.
Okay.
How about that?
Thank you.
Let me get my.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Good morning.
Oh, thank you.
There she is. All right. All right, we'll recess the Board of Commissioners meeting. And then we're going to go into the public hearing for the TEFRA for the Vista Veranda. Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The public purpose of this public hearing is TEFRA is a federal law enacted in 1982 to increase revenue through a combination of spending cuts, tax increases, and tax reform measures. The county is holding a public hearing today and considering a resolution to provide approval for a tax exempted bond issue transaction, a portion of the proceeds of which will be used to benefit Vista Veranda Assisted Living and Memory Care Facility in Ravenna, Ohio. The public hearing and approval, commonly referred to as a TEFRA hearing and approval, are being provided solely for federal income tax purposes in connection with the issue of tax exempt debt. The county is not being asked to issue any bonds, will not be needed to be a party to any bond documents, and there is no impact on the county's bank qualified bond limits because it is not issuing the bonds. Jessica Zager from the law firm of, Pulsinelli and Kansas City is appearing via Zoom. Welcome,
morning.
Jessica.
Thank you.
On behalf of the borrower with respect to the tax exempt bonds. The notice of the publication, the legal notice was posted on the county's official bulletin boards and published in the Record Courier newspaper on May 3rd, 2022, that a TEFRA public hearing for Vista Veranda would be held on Thursday, May 19th, 2022, in the boardroom of the Board of the County Commissioners of Portage County, Ohio, Portage County Administration Building, 7th floor, 449 South Meridian Street, Ravenna, Ohio, at 10:30. Is there anyone wishing to speak on behalf? If so, raise your right hand and state that you solemnly affirm under the penalties of law of perjury of the state of Ohio that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please respond, I do. Jessica?
I do.
I think that's you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, Jessica, I'm going to turn it over to you for a brief explanation of the project.
I don't know how I could do a better explanation than the one that you just gave. So the Vista Veranda is part of a community, a system of senior living communities around the country. It is ultimately owned by American Eagle Life Care, which manages, owns, and operates a number of senior living facilities, including Vista Veranda. There was a series of bonds issued in 2018 that financed American Eagle's acquisition of Vista Veranda and the other facilities. Those bonds are being restructured as a result of, COVID. You all were talking about it. You're familiar with it as well. Facilities, especially in the senior care space, were incredibly challenged from a financial and operational perspective. So the bonds that were issued in 2018 are currently being restructured by new bonds that are being issued this year through a multi-state issuing authority in Colorado. The maximum principal amount of those bonds is $250 million. They're comprised of both taxable and tax exempt bonds. And as you mentioned, one of the requirements to issue those tax exempt bonds is that we obtain TEFRA approval from each local jurisdiction in which one of the financed facilities is located and hold this public hearing. So we are incredibly thankful for you guys taking time out of your incredibly busy schedules to hold this public hearing for us and to consider the resolution that we've submitted to the board.
So Jessica, these are just to restructure existing bonds. There's no additional needs for like capital needs or anything with this funding. It's just basically refinancing, or we call restructuring with bonds.
It's almost entirely restructuring. There's about $14 million of new money that's being employed across the system, a portion of which is at Vista Veranda, but they're for routine capital expenditures. There's no major project financing. So, just little capital upgrades in each facility.
So if this whole conglomerate that is all over the country is about 215 million?
It's up to 250. The most recent numbers I saw show it settling at about 220, but we always round up, so we don't need to come back to you. I think it'll end up around 220, but we like to give ourselves a little wiggle room.
Okay.
Okay, do I have any public comment? Okay, if not, I will take a motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
Roll call. Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Vicky? Yes.
Thank you, Jessica, for coming today.
Thank you. And does that conclude both the public hearing and approve the resolution that we submitted?
No, we will approve the resolution as soon as we're done here.
Perfect. Thank you. Everyone does it a little differently, so like to check.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll go ahead and reconvene as the Board of Commissioners. And do we have that resolution?
Yes.
It's in here. It's under. Yeah.
It's under the section.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners moves a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Portage County, Ohio, approving the sole purpose of section 147F, the Internal Revenue Code 1986, as amended and issuance by the Colorado Health Facilities Authority for the Senior Living Revenue Bonds American Eagle Portfolio Project, Series 2022, for the purpose of financing the senior living facilities, one of which is located in the county, and approving the effective date. Providing the effective date.
And just a note before we take a roll call, this has no financial binding on the county, or are we backing any of these bonds? Okay, roll call, please.
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate y'all.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
We're going to go to Kelly
Just-
Joe next.
Thanks for being patient today.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to bump you around there.
We're flexible at Job and Family Services. Doesn't have to be, right? Because it has
What we talk about it in all our interviews.
be ready to change.
That's right.
We had the Directors Associate Conference, and I was down in Columbus yesterday, and that's what Joel Potts had stated, is that our system is now changing once again. We'll never be the same, and we're definitely working on change. So we're ready for it, right?
And are you going to share with us today some of the suggestions they have on job retention, and or are you going to come back to us?
I actually, I'm going to outreach to Michelle. But I'm going to, June 2nd, we're going to come back, and I have Christine Marshall coming to present the workforce survey on that date too. So
Yeah,
we'd like
yeah.
to focus retention, recruitment, and employment and that kind of stuff in one session. So hopefully June 2nd will work for all of you.
That'll work.
Yep, okay.
All right, thanks.
So we'll start with February, March data report. On the first page, the only thing that I wanted to draw to your attention was there was an incorrect number on the March total net transportation calls received. They were not 376 calls received in March. It was actually 180. So that was a clerical error
Oh, okay, because I had that circle.
Yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah. I did not have any items that I thought would be interesting to you as far as change or updates on page 2.
Other than the calls have gone up drastically, I noticed.
In the customer service
Yes,
center.
yes.
Yes. Change notices are going out relevant to benefit changes, relevant to Medicaid and those things.
And it looks like the services
Shifting
provided.
from Medicaid, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we see those at times, and they're going to continue, I think, as we unwind Medicaid and SNAP benefits post-COVID. So I think we're going to see peaks and valleys in that space. On page 3, just wanted to highlight that in March, the unemployment rate in Portage County was at 3.9%. So there are jobs plenty out there. And so we're seeing people shift those a lot as well. On page 4, I did not see any significant changes, but taking you to page 5 in the Child and Adult Protective Services world, at the end of March, we had 205 children in custody, and as of this Monday, 189. In the Adult Protective Services world, that's the acronym of APS cases. I just wanted to note that we did shift a second social worker in the world of Adult Protective Services. Unfortunately, we're seeing more needs in that arena, so we took a social worker from Child Protective Services and shifted them over in that space. So I'll probably do more to highlight Adult Protective Service cases and resources in the near future, but I wanted to draw your attention to that.
What does that constitute for adult protective services? Are they the aged that we're speaking of?
So similar, we share the same hotline as for Child Protective Services, shares the same hotline for Adult Protective Services. So anytime we get concerns of abuse, neglect, exploitation, concerns of self-care, we assign an investigator to go out and assess the situation. If need be, we wrap around services. There are times we have to engage the probate court, because sometimes elderly are not able to be maintained self-care in their own home, but definitely connect seniors with services and do much to try to get them to be safe and stable when they're not. Exploitation continues to be an issue with our elderly, financial exploitations. And so we do also have an I team. We work with law enforcement and other community partners to ensure safety of our elderly.
All right, thank you.
So that was the data points that I saw on page 5, unless you had questions. And then on page 6, we're still hovering in the 170s with staff, despite best efforts. And again, in June, we're going to talk about some creative options on how we want to recruit more staff into JFS. So be prepared to hear a lot of good ideas at that time.
Good.
Okay, so that was the data report, unless you had any additional questions.
Nope.
No.
May is Foster Parent Appreciation Month, and so we're finalizing letters signed off of from myself and our placement supervisor. What's really exciting is the state of Ohio is funding foster parent recruitment efforts and efforts to show appreciation to foster parents. So Early Childhood Resource Center has funded us to be able to provide Darden gift cards and Akron Zoo tickets to our foster parents for them to take their family to the zoo, but also for the parents to be able to go out on an evening for dinner. So it's nice that it was not funded by us, but another entity. And we always want to show appreciation to our foster parents. I did not all of our staff wanted to participate. I think I was the only one that stepped up, but we did a small video that we're going to post on our website, me thanking our foster parents for all that they do. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Upcoming health and wellness fair, you do see an attachment, and pre-COVID, we've done many years of health and wellness, but we tied it to back to school. And so we're still going to stay along with that theme of back to school, but we also want to promote health and wellness for other populations, our adult populations and family. So we're partnering JFS with Portage County Health District, NeoMed, Firm Foundation Ministry, and also university hospitals to host this health and wellness fair. I should note that our Medicaid managed care plans are partnering with us, both in person and financial contributions. And so this will be again at NeoMed on July 21st. We'll have health screenings available there. They're going to do some fitness, high points on fitness and and cooking demonstrations and just lots of stuff for families. But we're also going to have back to school supplies for children and families. So I just wanted to highlight that wonderful collaborative event. The next thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and I broached it with you last time, was the Benefit Bridge pilot program that we were invited to attend with the state of Ohio.
Yes.
We're prepared to submit our draft to the state of Ohio. They have made available to us about $200,000 through June 30th, and we believe it's going to be reoccurring funds to create this Benefit Bridge program in Portage County. Our team came together and we'd like to enroll or have it available to about 50 individuals or families that are transitioning off of public welfare. I know David was talking about poverty in Portage County. Well, the purpose of this is to provide the safety net and wraparounds for families transitioning so they can stay sustainable as they transition off. So we're going to target 50 families. We are allowed to build our own care team, but they require us to have a financial literacy component, and we can be creative in other spaces. So we are going to use our Ohio Means Jobs case managers, all of our existing staff in our public welfare world. We would like to create a new peer support specialist in Job and Family Services funded through these dollars, not through our general budget. We'd also like to do create requests for proposals for services for a peer recovery coach. And those are individuals that would work with individuals that are in recovery, right? To be able to help to support them as they move to work, but also deal with aspects of being in recovery. A financial literacy provider, and then mental health and substance abuse providers. So we would like to work with our team and then interface with Joanne to come before you with requests for proposals. But again, these positions and these contracts would be funded through these state dollars. And then just real quick in closing, what we would like to offer in this program, and if the state approved, when the state approves our plan, we'll give you it in final form. But this Benefit Bridge program would offer 1 month of rent or mortgage payment, if not covered under our PRC program, 3 months of gas cards at about $200 each month, if not covered already under our PRC program, 1 month of child care payment if a family has minor children in their care, a one-time $500 employment incentive, and then a $500 work retention incentive at 60 days of the program. So what we would do is we would assess and build a case plan and provide all of these supports for families. So as they leave public welfare and start to earn wages and employment, they have these safety net dollars and services available to them so that if they falter, instead of having to come back onto public welfare, they have this safety net piece. And then we incentivize as they maintain work, also to provide that continuum of support over a 90-day period. The peer specialist that we talked about bringing in-house would follow that family not only through the first 90 days, but then 90 days thereafter. So as a family struggles with things, life happens, they have that support person there to help wrap them with services continually, again, so not to have to come back through the front doors of public welfare. So that's the goal, is transitioning individuals off of the public welfare rolls, have them as rent goes up and food stamps go down, provide some incentives and supports, and then keep them, maintain them off of assistance thereafter.
You know, Kelly Jo, this seems like not rocket science. I mean, because it seems like we're punitive to people who actually go out and get a job,
Right.
and then they're on the system. And then 30 days later, you know, for a single mom, we've cut her food stamps out, and we disincentivize them to go and do the right thing. So this is, like you said,
And
this
that's
is
been for
good.
years.
Yeah.
And hats off to new state administration for recognizing, instead of just throwing their hands up and saying, let's do something creative, with still the goal of reducing individuals on public welfare.
Right.
That should always be the goal,
Right.
but until we change policies, truly, this is a great next step to be able to be flexible and creative in the communities for which people live.
Right.
They announced yesterday at the conference that the state is going to pay for the co-pays of childcare for families at this time. So that's also going to provide some relief for families. So it's nice that they're thinking outside the box and
Right.
using the word creative
Right.
and flexible. 'Cause
Right.
We've been begging for that for a real long time. So we're excited.
Good. Good. Okay, so that was that. And then David was talking about poverty. And so this ties into it real quick. And we've been trying to get this off the ground for years. We bought a poverty simulation package through Community Action Council in Missouri like 4 years ago, and then COVID happened. But this simulation was created to bring about awareness on those living in poverty. And so what it is that you get participants together. It's an hour experience. 15 minutes represents a week in the life of somebody living in poverty, but the simulation allows the participants to experience all the challenges and nuances. What was developed for is to bring community leaders and legislators and people together to really understand the nuances. And it ties really nicely to what we're doing with the Benefit Bridge program. So we'd like to invite 24 community members, community leaders to experience this in the morning on this day of August 9th, and then the afternoon provide lots of data, have some resource tables, and then just talk about continued partnerships and collaborations in Portage County to continue to work in the effort of reducing poverty and building self-sufficiency. So again, I think it's a beautiful tie to this program. So,
You know, and I think it's good to educate the people who, like us, are in positions that we can help with this. I know I put it on my calendar, and Sarah, can you get an invite out to all of us? Because I think it would be something really good, especially for commissioners to participate in if they're available too.
and I broached this with Kurt, who's the new director at Leadership Portage County. In Stark County, they built this simulation into Leadership Portage County. So maybe in the future, if not partnership, it'd be something they could kind of slide into their programming. But it's exactly that, is to get awareness out, but also to encourage board participations, to bring private sector and nonprofit and government together, I think is a wonderful thing when we have the common goal of building people, you know, building them up and having them grow to self-sufficiency.
You mentioned David, and his is because he doesn't know why that poverty in Portage County went from there to that's this. And do you have any idea?
Well, I definitely think some of the companies that shut down had something to do with it, but I absolutely think that COVID has had a catalyst to it. While there's job opportunities, I don't think that the living wage, not just in Portage County, but around, is something that's sustaining people. Because we have, one of the myths is that people are not wanting to work and that they're living on public welfare benefits. And if you're able-bodied, you have to participate in a work component or a training component to get public welfare benefits. You can't just get on benefits without doing anything. But when people transition into minimum wage jobs at 40 hours a week, once you take taxes out and you have these inflation costs with rent, talked about utilities and all these things, when you whittle it down to what is your net income, it's not a lot for a family to sustain themselves on. So I think while the jobs are there, it's the living wage that still doesn't exist where it needs to be. And I think that is sometimes bigger than us. And then when you have struggling businesses.
You know, you have inflation.
Yeah.
$5 a gallon gas.
When you
and
throw in all
childcare,
the drug
everything.
issues
How
that
do you
happened
increase
when,
incentives to your
when did
staff
the
or
drug
increase
stop?
wages?
We're
if you're
heading down a
struggling as
bad road.
Absolutely. So I think the problem is bigger than Portage County.
It is bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big, it's
Yeah.
bigger than everything.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, I do think, but I think these are small steps, but I also think there's a bigger piece of the pie is how can we increase wages and get people to be successful and not have to continue to go to food banks to supplement their food when they're working 40 hours a week.
Working poor.
Is exactly what it is. So more, but at least this is an opportunity to start some more dialogue in that space.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Faith?
All right.
So I'm excited that you're going to be a part of it. And I think that was it, right? And then so you have
the
some
manager
resolution-
training.
Oh, managers training. I just wanted to let you know that I had a phenomenal experience with leadership shift that you all supported through Michelle for all of our directors in Portage County. And I've outreached to that trainer to see if she could scale it back a bit and kind of work with me on some of our needs for our 35 managers in JFS. So hopefully you'll support that continued dialogue, because I think they would have a phenomenal experience, because I was moved by it. So,
Good.
yep.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, the feedback's been really good.
Yeah, I think it would be great for them to have the same experience on a different level. But that's it then. So-
ahead, Sue.
And then you.
I have one
Yeah, we got-
executive session too, and it's very quick, sorry.
Yeah, we just have two
Resolutions.
resolutions yet for donations of some equipment and shared transfer for child support.
Board of Commissioners declares obsolete and authorizes the donation of Portage County Jobs and Family Services property to Portage County offices.
Second.
Roll call, Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Board of Commissioners moves to transfer Fund 1414 Child Support Administration to Fund 1410 Public Assistance Fund.
Second.
Roll call, Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
In accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1, Board of Commissioners moves into executive session to consider compensation for a public employee.
Second.
Roll call, Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes. Vicky? Right, you're all set to go.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Roll call, Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
No action? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Linda.
Can we go?
Right. Is there any public comment?
Nope.
Okay,
So
well,
Vic, come on up, sir.
we can go ahead and have you start, Vic, but at 11, I still have to just make sure there's no public comment.
Sure, I understand.
Okay. And will you remind us, Sarah, at 11? Yes.
Oh, it's not 11 yet.
No.
No,
So
yeah.
that 3 minutes.
So somebody might walk in, you mean?
Yeah.
I doubt it, but yeah.
I will yield if they do.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thanks for having me.
Sure.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.
I wrote you a letter that I suspect you knew was coming,
Yes.
Yes,
as you
it's a
heard.
trickle down effect.
Well, yeah,
It is.
it is. And we have a aggressive sheriff and an aggressive 15 other law enforcement agencies in this county that my office represents. So they're all out doing their jobs. And that means that, as you've heard from the sheriff and then you heard from Judge Pittman, our caseloads are up significantly.
Yes.
The statistics that the Judge Pittman shared with you are particularly telling. And quite amazing when you see that we are the busiest county in the state when it comes to cases per judge in the common police court. Judge Pittman shared with you a statistic from the Supreme Court that shows that our average caseload for a common police court judge is 929 cases per year,
Yeah,
nearly double the nearest county that,
yes.
and as a part of that, we have just the 2 judges in our county too, which is also telling in those statistics. But be that as it may, those are the numbers. And when you divide that up, as you heard from the public defender, when they were here before me,
Mhm.
the number of cases per attorney, and for the public defender, he shared with you 337 cases per attorney. My caseload is just a little bit higher than that, at 343 cases per attorney. Remembering, however, that the prosecutor handles all the criminal cases, and that our case preparation is much more involved than the public defender's is, since we have the burden of proof and have to work diligently to prepare our cases for trial with the police departments and the witnesses and the labs and everything else that comes into putting together a successful criminal prosecution.
Mhm.
And that when we fall down, when we do not succeed, it directly impacts the safety of your constituents and my constituents here in this country. So it's imperative that we are prepared and that we are competent in presenting these cases. And to ask any one lawyer to juggle 343 cases is beyond what we should be asking. And they have come to me several times. They've come to me and said, you know, boss, we're underwater here. We need help. And we've tried our best to spread things around. And
There's only so much spreading.
there is. The pandemic put things off for a while. It reduced caseload because the police departments were not in high gear. The grand jury was not in high gear, and the courts were postponing things rather than conducting jury trials during the pandemic. But now we're back on track, and that has exacerbated the issue because we're trying to play catch up with a lot of those cases that were put off. They are now coming up for trial. We have 10 murder cases pending and a number of other very serious cases pending, some of which are 1 and 2 years old
Okay.
that are going to come
All
up.
right, we're gonna pause right here. Is there any public comment? Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're good?
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. So just as an aside too, today is, or as we sit here today, our grand jury is meeting. And I have my grand jury schedule for today with me. And today we will indict 40 more felony cases, individuals, persons, 40 persons today. And that has become fairly typical of grand jury, indicting around 40 per week. And as I said, these are not counts, these are individual people who will be indicted today by the grand jury. When I started this job as the prosecutor 28 years ago, grand jury would bring in 8 to 10 people per week. And that we thought was busy.
Yeah.
8 to 10 people. Here we are, and 28 years later, we're bringing in 40 per week. And my staff has not changed significantly in the last decade as far as the number of prosecutors handling felony cases. So we are there, commissioners, we're there, where I'm going to have to add some staff. And I know you are interested, and I made sure to put in my letter, you're going to ask me, what are the other counties doing? You know, what's their caseloads like?
I appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, I knew the question would be there, so I reached out not only to surrounding counties, but counties of our same size. And you'll see in the letter I gave you that their caseloads are about half of what we are,
Yeah.
including Summit County next door here. And I went to their busiest court to make sure, and they're at 178.
And you know, Vic, I have to give kudos to you because you've always been one that stays within your budget, and even with budget cuts, you know, or grant funding cuts, you know, you've always been very good about covering up, the loss of revenue with the bow wow and VOCA. I mean, because that majorly impacts your operations. And I had asked you for a breakdown, which I believe my other two colleagues and I shared with Joe on the anticipated cost to hire two more staffing folks for your office. And again, that was contingent upon them receiving family health care,
Right.
which is the worst case scenario.
That's what I did, is I tried to give you worst case scenario.
Yeah, and so if both of the new hires receive the family health care, we're looking at a cost of about $239,909.74. And I believe, Joe, I did share that with you, didn't I? Or I think maybe Vic maybe even copied you and Michelle in on the cost. That being said, did you have any comments, Joe? I know we haven't had a chance to discuss with you.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't,
As far as funding.
I mean, we have funding now, yes, but I'm just not really sure about where the economy is going to more of,
None of us do.
no. So I guess it's more, I just want to make sure we cover all of it.
Well, I think this is something that's definitely priority.
And I would agree, Vicki, that this is something that needs to be a priority. And again, as we talked earlier today, even with capital improvements, we have to be able to figure out, is this a want or versus a need? A lot of people want additional staffing and stuff because they see XYZ department getting it. But I believe when we have elected officials like Vic that comes in with the data and stuff, and understanding, I mean, we are well aware of the caseloads. I mean, and when you beef up one department, and we'll start with the sheriff's department, it's a trickle down effect. I mean, it affects our probation, it impacts our prosecutors, our public defenders. I mean, those are all things that when we're making these decisions, we have to realize it's not just that silo that's coming in before us. It's going to impact the whole entire operations. And so I would be in support of 2 additional prosecutors needed, because I think we have the numbers here. And, if there's something we have to prioritize, with other additional requests, I think Vic has demonstrated to us that, he has always been willing to work with the commissioner's office as far as his budget. He's, when his funding has got cut, his grant funding, he still managed to stay within his budget and avoid coming back to us. So when someone like Vic comes into us and makes this kind of request, I am more likely to do everything I can to fill this request.
Vic, but the 2 additional, because the staff hasn't grown, the 2 additional attorneys, does that include more support staff?
No.
They don't need more support staff
No.
to.
I think, and I thought about that, Commissioner. Well, it's a good question. I think we'll make do with our current staff of investigators and administrative assistants.
Mhm.
We will do our best to make do with that.
Okay.
The number of cases they're there. I mean, we're doing 1,500 to 2,000 cases a year. That isn't going to change. It's going to go up, I think, some more.
Okay.
What we're doing is spreading those existing cases out amongst more people so they can effectively handle. So the investigator assigned to a court is still going to be very busy. It's the attorneys who are working the cases, preparing them for trial, who are underwater. So we're going to do our best to keep our other levels the same.
Okay.
If I come to you in a year or 2 and say we can't do it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what my brain's thinking.
Well, we're going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
As Sabrina said, I'm the last one here to come and ask you for more, and I
You
want
got
to
my
make sure we
support,
couldn't
too.
do it otherwise. So
You definitely, I think all 3 of us, we've all talked about this.
Mhm.
Look, you see as they
Yeah.
say, that writing on the wall.
Right.
So you do have my support as well.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
so, all right, Vic. Well, thank you for coming in today.
Yep.
Joe,
Thank you for your
and you know
support.
what? When did you anticipate, once we approve this, that you would start, I guess, looking
Yesterday.
to,
You've been looking,
yeah,
he's
Well-
been looking, he's got it.
I have lost a couple of assistant prosecutors in the last several months to the courts who have stolen my assistant prosecutors as magistrates. So
dirty dogs.
I've been out in the market, and it's a tight market.
Yeah.
Right now for lawyers and assistant prosecutors. And quite frankly, I've had some issues filling the positions that I already have,
Right.
not new ones, the old
Yeah.
ones. So I anticipate a challenge in filling these. So nothing will happen tomorrow, I'll tell you that.
Because it looks like, when I look at the salary of 77, that's way more than I remember several years ago that we were hiring in, and it's
This
because
isn't new hire. I mean, this is your
This is-
experience. That's my
experience,
Yeah.
okay.
You're not bringing in newbies out of college.
Exactly. The ones that we're bringing in for the two that I have open now are in the low 60s.
Yeah.
That's more entrance level. These are felony level prosecutors.
Okay.
They've been doing this
So,
for a while.
it-
What's the, usually is it a 5, 10, 15 year that these people have that kind of experience?
At
before they
least
start?
5, at least 5 years to get into a felony court.
Okay.
I can't put young kids out of law school into this position. So I'll first look internally to move people up that are in
Sure.
our municipal courts if they have the experience and qualities that I'm looking for. So that would be giving them a bump from their 60s up into the 70s, and then I can look for some
Sure.
younger kids at the
Right.
entry. That's what I'll do. Yeah, a new class of law students was just sworn in recently here, and I'm starting to get applications from them, but they're fresh out of law school.
Yeah.
Need some
But
quite a
like
bit
you
of
said,
training.
it's always good to be able to move from within, promote within.
I've always
because
done that.
Helps with morale, it helps with retention, and especially for new people coming in, they see that it is potential to grow.
There's a path,
And-
that's right. And that's one of the first things they ask you when you interview,
Where can I go?
what's my path
Right,
forward?
right.
And my office typically does not have a lot of turnover. Except recent here when the judges have stolen.
Gotta have a talk with those judges.
I guess no point.
Yeah.
They
Right,
ordered that.
yeah.
Huh? Can they
They
work?
order that.
Hey,
Just kidding.
what do you do?
No, but again, I appreciate it, that you always work with us. And like I said, I am in full support, as you heard from my other 2 colleagues as well.
Yeah.
So I think we can give you the
Good luck hiring.
marching orders to go out and try to
Thank you very much.
fill your quest, and
Maybe
just
some
let
good
us
news.
know.
You have bailed us out on that BOCA grant. And I
yes.
I received some correspondence that BOCA is receiving some new funding.
No, great.
They finally passed at the federal level, the BOCA Rescue Act or whatever they called it. And hopefully that'll begin trickling down to us and we can start replacing some of that money we lost.
Sure.
And
Sure.
That'll save you some money. when it
But you
comes
know,
in.
that's what always makes me think about your office, because I remember saying to you, it's 33%, 32 one year, 33. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, you're cutting back on overtime, you're cutting your expenses, but still providing the same service,
Well, we
even though-
tried. We took away their
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
Our victim advocates used to have phones where they could talk
Mm-hmm.
to the police. Those are gone. iPads, that's all gone. All the frills were
Were
taken
gone.
away before we came to you just to keep their
Mhm.
salaries.
Right.
And it'd be nice to get them back where the police
Oh,
can
absolutely.
have direct contact with them again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for coming in today.
Much appreciated.
All right. Human resources. Janet?
Did we get, did we catch up?
Yes, we're ahead, so we got to keep going. I have to be somewhere. I'm sorry, it's emergency, but if I have to leave, I just have to excuse myself. But
Good morning.
Hi, Janet.
Okay, I have one discussion item that's in the packet. This is actually
Water resources.
a new personnel and fiscal specialist job description.
Mhm.
This is a non-bargaining position, and basically The position is really to help with administrative and personnel task with the director as well as the office manager for their water resources, as well as help with labor negotiations. So this individual will help collect data, possibly be part of the negotiations, whatever the director at the time would decide, but this position would be confidential and handle confidential information.
So this is an actual new position. It's not, yeah, it's not a replacement. It's not redesigning a current position into something else. It is an actual new position. And where are we as far as budgetary support for this?
Can I just add something to that? Okay, so it is a new position, but we are relocating 2 positions that are currently in the union into these positions. Hopefully,
Say that
they
one
will
more
apply.
time.
My guess is they would obviously get the position.
Say that one more time.
So what's happening right now is we have 2 admin assistant positions that are under the union. And they're not able to take on extra tasks is one thing, but our office manager needs assistance with confidentiality based projects. So we decided to move 2 positions from under the union and create this personnel fiscal specialist.
So you're
Basically, the idea.
deleting 2 positions?
Well, I think they might keep them, they'll just be vacant.
They'll just be vacant. So they're going to stay with the union, but just be vacant.
We're gonna have 2 people do this?
That's my understanding.
Correct, yes.
That's correct, right? Which we now have 2 admin assistants under the union.
Okay.
Okay.
You're just moving them
Into a different, totally
a
different role.
That's
non-union.
correct.
Yes.
That's the idea.
And the
Gotcha.
union's on board with this?
We actually met a couple times. They're currently reviewing the job description to make sure that they agree it should be excluded from the union. However, even if they don't agree it should be excluded, we can still file a petition with SERB, but yet we can still move forward with this according to Jim Wilkins.
In other words, we're not gonna have 4 positions.
Yes.
Well, that's
Right.
my
I
concern.
want to
Right.
really
Right.
relieve any concern over that. We will
Because
not
when
be
you're
one.
saying the union's still reviewing it, what are they reviewing it for?
They're reviewing the job description to make sure it meets the definition of confidential employee according to ORC. ORC has strict guidelines on what. a
And that it's
confidential-
non-union?
Yes.
Okay, that it's
Yes.
non-union. But as far as taking 2 of their employees and moving them into non-bargaining position,
And they're aware of that.
No.
I did let them
If
know.
these positions vacant, are we gonna fill those?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are
they're
we gonna
just-
do away
It's
with
just
them?
that we're not gonna go through a whole
We
lot
don't
of
need to do,
debating back and forth as to whether or not we want to remove the positions out of the union. Instead, we're gonna create these new positions, and then those people that are currently in the union either apply and receive the job, which is, most likely going to happen,
Yeah.
or we just void those positions. Ideally, these 2 people will come over and apply for the non-union positions.
Okay.
Which we have every right to do that.
but if they don't apply for them or they don't meet the criteria, then are they still gonna have their positions in their union?
No. So currently, they do meet the criteria. Those that are currently employed do meet the criteria.
Okay,
And it really, the job is very similar. The only thing that has been added is the confidentiality piece and the personnel union negotiation piece, which is key to union versus non-union positions. So it's going to be a really long process to go through SERB or SPDR to get approval to remove those positions. But the union is on board. Last time we spoke, or my understanding was, because we're also giving the union 2 other positions,
Yeah.
which replaces these 2. We gave them the mechanic
Uh-huh.
and
And
what
the SCADA technician.
IP
SCADA
coordinator.
technician, okay.
And SCADA technician. Those were just this year we gave them. In the past, we also
In the
gave them
past,
an IP, what is it?
FP coordinator.
Coordinator.
When you say you gave them, they're non-union and we're putting them in the union, is that?
No, they were brand new positions that were created. So
Okay.
the union, I guess. my point-
union's not gonna lose
They're not,
a number
they're
of
gaining, they're not
members.
losing, even though we take
Yeah.
these 2 admin
Yeah,
positions.
okay.
and we needed the mechanic, we needed the SCADA
Absolutely, we
guy.
did.
Okay,
Versus-
but we
okay.
put them in the union. That's what I wanted to say, because normally the union's not gonna give up positions.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I'm like, I'm not following this, because you're saying we're not gonna abolish those 2 positions that are union, we're just gonna leave them vacant. But yet, we're gonna move them to 2 non-bargaining positions. So
That's
that's
correct.
why I just wanted to make sure.
That's a whole
So
other
union will
process.
actually be up 1, even when we take
2.
these 2.
No, they'll be even.
Well, they'll actually be
We've had 3, we're taking 2, and so they'll be up 1.
also gonna have four over
Four.
the last few years.
Yeah.
They've had
They
two
had
just
some.
this year.
Okay.
So really, those two.
So they're still up.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're still up.
They
And this
appear
just
to be.
makes good sense for the department.
Well, I am all on board as long as we have no ramifications or no issues with the union over this.
No, we've had them on board. They
Yeah,
have the
and they
opportunity
actually
to job
appeared to be
description like
very, they listened to us and they heard us and they just wanted to basically do their due diligence.
Okay.
And
Okay.
just make sure, but
Well,
honestly.
as long
during the
as that
conversations,
is
they were very
resolved,
positive.
I am fine with it. So.
They were positive meetings with the union.
that. Yeah, the
Okay,
candidates,
great.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
All
they
right.
were very willing. I mean, because they are
Okay.
still up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're not gonna fill these two positions and then be forced to fill those, yeah,
No, we would not do that.
No,
We took extra care to make sure.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, is there anything else?
Nothing else on my.
Just our.
You're not short on journal entries.
Just my journal.
Do you want me to read those, Tony?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
In accordance with section 305.30, the Ohio Revised Code, the Board's Resolution 21-0396, Part 9I. Board of Commissioners acknowledges and approves the county administrator approval to accept the resignation of Jacob Workman, engineer technician 3 with Portage County Water Resources effective May 20th, 2022.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorizes a 7-day internal post for the bargaining position, engineer technician 1, vacated by Jacob Workman. Portage County Water Resources with external posting if no internal appointment is made.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board accepts the resignation of Ian Orris, engineering technician 1, Portage County Water Resources, effective May 27th, 2022.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorizes a 7-day internal post with the bargaining position, engineering technician 1, vacated by Ian Orris, Portage County Water Resources, and with the external posting if no internal appointment is made.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
The board moves to rescind journal entry 3, May 5th, 2022, authorizing the hire of Ronald Fraser of the Collection Systems Labor position in Portage County Water Resources Department. Mr. Fraser declined the employment offer.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to approve the refactor and water resource design engineer job description from pay grade 13 to pay grade 15. The factoring is based upon the difficulty of recruiting for the position and an increase in salary range to be more competitive.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to approve the refactoring water resources operation manager job description for pay grade 17 to pay grade 18, refactoring based on the difficulties of recruiting for the position and increase in salary range to be more competitive.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to accept the resignation of Terry Whittard, JFS IT Specialist, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, effective day May 20th, 2022.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to authorize the internal external post for non-bargaining position, JFS IT Specialist, vacated by Terry Willard, Portage County Jobs and Family Services. The vacancy will be posted internally and externally concurrently until filled.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to accept the resignation of Alice Santiago, Clerical Specialist 4, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, effective date May 19th, 2022.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorizes a 3-day internal post of a bargaining position, Clerical Worker Specialist 4, vacated by Alex Santiago, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, with the external post if no internal appointment is made.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorizes the termination of probationary employee Nikki Williams, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, effective May 13th, 2022.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorizes a 3-day internal post for bargaining position, Social Worker 3, Group Home, vacated by Nikki Williams, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, with the external post if no internal appointment is made.
Second. Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board moves to authorize the transfer of Denise Williams, eligibility specialist, to investigator 2, replacing Darla Hilton, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, effective May 30th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Board authorized a 3-day internal post for bargaining position, eligibility specialist, vacated by Denise Williams for Portage County Jobs and Family Services, with an external post if no internal appointment is made.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
The board authorized promotion of John Wadilla, Jobs and Family Services Training Specialist, to OMJ Supervisor, replacing Louis Fucci.
That's you.
Louise.
Fetchu,
Mhm.
Portage County Jobs and Family Services, effective May 30th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Good, yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Board authorized internal and external posts of a non-bargaining position, JFS Training Specialist, vacated by John Wadilla, Jobs and Family Services, vacated. The vacancy will be posted internally and externally concurrently until filled.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Board authorized the hire of Sarah Boggs, Jobs and Family, or Social Worker 3, Portage County Jobs and Family Services, replacing Samantha Fields. Tentative start date is May 23rd, 2022. The Board of Commissioners agrees that this hire is contingent upon the applicant passing required pre-employment screening.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners moves to approve and adopt the amended Portage County Board of Commissioners Personnel Manual, section outside employment.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Great to see you today, Jen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Any other pages or things?
No, that's it. That's it. One thing I was surprised you was on one page.
I think last week you only had 4 or 5.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
I'm
Thank you.
glad. Bye-bye.
Come on up, Allison.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, I have the 2 on the original agenda and then the add-ons.
Ed.
All me.
All
Okay.
right. Board of Commissioners moves to authorize the application to accept the Ohio Department of Public Safety 2022-2023 Motorcycle Ohio Grant in the amount of $60,579.60 on behalf of Portage County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Board approved to $1 million for the American Rescue Plan Act, state and local fiscal recovery funds to be utilized outside Portage County departments by local nonprofits.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Yes.
And that was what we spoke about last week, correct?
Yes, and then I did also with the resolution attach the application that I plan to
Yep, yep.
use.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that looks good for you guys as
Yeah,
well, that'll
that's
be
fine.
what I send out when people ask for it.
Okay.
So everybody that is nonprofits that are contacting us, we just
Yep.
trigger me.
Send them right to me, and then, so that means as of right now, we'll
Okay.
start accepting those applications, and then the deadline for that is August 19th at 5 PM.
And you are notifying the folks that just sent in letters and stuff like that to
Yes.
follow the process.
Yes, if people already sent us a request, I'm gonna send them that way they can
And
resubmit.
some of them we had talked about do not qualify now, we've learned.
Yes.
And we are going to share that with them. And do we have an alternative that we're going to suggest to them?
It would be other funding if they do want to
Yes.
come and ask
Okay.
of the board, but it would not be our.
Because we also have our funding that we have with like NDS that we could also take a look at too. So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then you got the additional add-ons.
Yes, these 4 are all for the previous expenditures of ARPA, and this is just the formal, yes, we spent the money on this and it was allowable.
Okay.
Board of Commissioners direct portion of the county's coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund payment to the county's COVID-19 response, authorizing American Rescue Plan Act fund expenditure for SWD 01 and declare emergency.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Board moves to direct portion of the county's coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund payment for the county's COVID-19 response, authorizing American Rescue Plan Act fund expenditures for EMA 01 and declare emergency.
Second.
Roll call?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky, yes.
Board moves to direct portion of county's coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund payment to county's COVID-19 response, authorizing American Rescue Plan Act Fund expenditure BLG01 and declare an emergency.
Second,
Roll call?
Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
yes.
Board moves to direct a portion of the county's coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund payment to the county's COVID-19 response, authorizing American Rescue Plan Act Fund expenditures for COM01, declaring an emergency.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
yes.
And Allison, I just want to thank you for attaching the memorandums that you received
Yes,
from.
yes.
That really
Yeah.
helps.
Oh, yeah,
us.
that way you can see
Yeah,
everything. And
that
then for
really
all of
was
our
nice.
expenditures, they're gonna write that for us. That way when the audit comes, we are ready.
Cool. Very good.
All
That
right.
was very.
Thank you. Joe. We are moving right along. Yay. 5 minutes now. All right, Joe, what you got today for us?
The first two journal entries is pretty standard. Actually, they're all pretty standard.
Yeah,
I mean, do you
I
guys have any
didn't see anything.
No, I did
no.
nothing
I
jumped out,
signed
Joe.
all these. All right.
Okay, in accordance with section 305.30K of the Ohio Revised Code, this board's resolution 210396 and the board's resolution 210878, Board of Commissioners acknowledges and approves the county administrator approval to direct the county auditor's office to pay, process the May 12th, 2022 bills, ACH payments, wires, journal vouchers, and then and now as applicable, contingent upon the verification of the reports as presented by the county auditor, reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board moves to process the May 12th, 2022 budget amendments as reviewed and recommended by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board of Commissioners moves to sign the satisfaction mortgage of Ida Hummerich for $24,720, instrument number 98268445, as requested by the Neighborhood Development Services, document reviewed by the Department of Budget and Finance with no exceptions noted.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
The Board of Commissioners moves to sign the partial release of mortgage, releasing from lien and operations of certain mortgages from Portage Housing 3 project for the property located at 131 4th Street, Ravenna, Ohio, 44266, as recorded on July 25th, 2007. The amount of $100,000 is the original investment with accrued interest totaling $230,772 in Portage County records as instrument number 200716587, as presented by Neighborhood Development Services. Portage County will receive $9,230.88 from the proceeds of the sale.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board of Commissioners authorizes Sabrina Christian Bennett, President of the Board, to sign the Ohio Department of Development's revolving loan fund waiver request for $80,000 loan for family community services for the purpose of a boiler replacement. They're presented by the Neighborhood Development Services, Inc. Document reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management with no exceptions noted.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board resolutions, board moves to create Fund 1268 CDBG target opportunity.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board moves the cash advance fund 5400 PCW General Administration to Fund 5512 Manaway Plant Distribution Replacement.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board moves to transfer Fund 0001 General Fund to Fund 1414 Child Support Administration.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board moves to transfer Fund 0001 General Fund to Fund 1166 EMPG Homeland Security Grant.
Second,
Roll call? Tony?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
yes.
Board moves to transfer Fund 0001 General Fund to Fund 1092 General elections,
Board of Elections.
Board of Elections.
Okay, roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Journal entries. The Board of Commissioners acknowledge the
Thank
receipt.
you, Joe.
So, thank you. Come on, Joe, you want to stay?
Good. Yes, I'm good.
Miscellaneous. We did move along pretty well, didn't we? Gracious. Journal entries, Board of Commissioners acknowledge the receipt of Portage County RLF balance sheet for April 2022 is presented by Neighborhood Development Services.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners acknowledge the receipt of Portage County Investment Portfolio Report for April 2022 is presented by Portage County Treasurer.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners acknowledge the receipt of the Portage County Investment Reconciliation for the month of April 2022, received on May 9th, 2022, is presented by the County Auditor and Treasurer.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners moves to acknowledge the receipt of May 9th, 2022 certificate of the county's auditor, and the total annual appropriations for each fund do not exceed the official certificate of estimate resources for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, as presented by the county auditor's office.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Board moves in accordance with ORC 311.20. The Board of Commissioners acknowledges the receipt of the Portage County Sheriff's monthly jail reports for the expenditures and food costs for prisoners for December of 2021 and January of 2022 is presented by the Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners acknowledge the receipt of the Kennel. Thank you. Deposition report intake report of May 9th, 2022 through May 15th, 2022 is presented by Chief Dog Warden Dave McIntyre.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners agrees to move forward with a quote number Q 80-1935-3.4 2022 for the integrated audio video streamline systems with the Board of Commissioners boardroom as presented by BIS Digital for the amount of $5,233.37 for the equipment as recommended for Information Technology Services Director Lloyd Elder. The board of further authorizes Sabrina Christian Bennett, President of the Board, to sign the documents and move forward.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Resolutions, the Board of Commissioners moves to accept the donation to the Office of Portage County Dog Warden.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Board
Yes.
of Commissioners moves to approve the appointment of Ron Goodspeed for Portage County Board of Building Appeals.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we did it. All right. Is there anything else to come before the board today? Thank you, Tony.
No.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah,
Thank
for
you.
doing a
Thank
great
you, Sarah.
job today
Excellent.
and keeping us on track. And then our next meeting is going to be next Thursday. Can you believe it's 26th of May? Wow.